Hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra K. I hope you all are having a great day. I don't know what's going on my Twitter. Hold on a second. Nope, won't let me go live. So anyway, it's me, Demetra K, and I hope you guys are all having a great day. This is Wealth Wednesdays. Walter is usually here, but he's caught up, so he may join us later. If not, it'll just be us for the time that we are here. The purpose of the Demetra K Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even. Roberto, now, you know you finna get blocked, right? You know you finna get blocked as soon as I can. So anyway, yeah, right. So again, the purpose of the Demetra K Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we are a great people, but we can always strive to do better. So I'd like to say a big giant hello and welcome to YouTube and Facebook. You are the other side of the conversation. Not only are you just viewers, but you are participants, because I do share the link so that you guys can chime in. Again, Walter normally sits here with us. Hopefully he'll join us. If not, it's okay. He got a little bit busy. So today we're going to be talking about Houston eviction. So mass eviction rather in Houston. And it is going to get worse all over the United States. And so I have a solution, but I want to see what you guys think. I'll show you guys a little video in just a second. But first, let me block Roberto. Give me 1 second. I got you. I see you want my attention. You got it. Bam. You blocked. All right. And I'm sure he'll make another email or whatever, but it's all right. So I want to acknowledge all those who are here. Thunder, how you doing? Fishing with Rick, what's going on with you? Black America, how you doing this evening? Just Being Jazzy Podcast, Crafty Ideas, and Chill Spot. How are you today? Well, thank you so much for subscribing. I love and appreciate you for that. King of Sorrows, what's going on with you? JBWR, hope you are having a great evening. And Anita, what's going on with you? Let's see here. And Brother Reggie. Okay, I couldn't move my mouse for a second. And Anais, how you doing? Long time no see. And Roots, Reggae Girl One, how are you? Yes, welcome indeed. I don't know what Roberto's fixation is with me or the show, but he's made like 1,000 emails already, and he's just gonna keep coming back and getting blocked. And Annette, how you doing? He says, good evening, Empress Demetra. My husband and I enjoy your commentary. Enough love. Well, I love you all as well, and thank y'all for joining me. All right, so let's get into it. I was looking for something to talk about, and we've talked about this a bunch of times on the show. Hi, Roots Tracker, how you doing? Evictions, as you guys know, we are going through a whole lot in the United States, specifically with the economy, right? Things are not really that good under the Joe Biden administration. And some of those things that are kind of, jacked up, especially for us as Black people, is evictions. They're at an all-time high all over, but I'm here in Houston, so I saw it in Houston, where it's 2 apartment complexes that are kind of like subsidized, and they are going through mass eviction. So I'm going to show y'all a video real quick, and then we can discuss it.
Want answers.
It's what they came to City Hall for Tuesday.
Help us hold them accountable. At some point, they have to take their hands out the cookie jar.
Residents of the Cabo San Lucas and Redford apartments asking City Council to look into 2 complexes and the housing programs that placed many of them there.
These organizations we were placed under were funded to help guide us to get the help that we needed to get back on our feet.
There have been so many issues with the 2 properties that 13 Investigates found the city deemed them nuisances last year, entering into agreements promising to improve living conditions and safety for residents. However, those were voluntary, and both properties have already changed owners.
These people have dropped the ball on us.
The agreements state there were almost 1,300 calls for police at the Cabo San Lucas and nearly 1,680 at the Redford from January 1st to November 22nd of last year, many for violent crimes. Samantha Moody, a Redford resident, says she's been a victim twice.
And oh God.
She was placed at the complex through a supportive housing program. She and others want to know why they were sent somewhere the city has known is untenable.
All right, so y'all saw it, and it was a little bit longer, but for time's sake. So y'all heard it there. It sounds like it's very unsafe where they're living as well. Now, it said that uh, the evictions are partially due to mismanagement of funds. So some of that sounds like it may be on the residents. So it sounds like whatever funds that those apartment or the housing complex may be getting, they're not, I guess, helping the residents. I guess that's what they're trying to say. Because if you know anybody who is on housing, they do get some help from the government. So they'll have to pay a percentage of the actual rent. But for whatever reason, that sounds like it's not being appropriated for that. So as you saw, they said in one complex is about 150 evictions, and another is like 250 evictions. And that's a lot. And, normally that means that's the case for our people. And so, of course, you got inflation and the job market. They say there's jobs, right? They said that in September, there was about 350,000 more jobs added to the workforce. But it's like, well, what kind of jobs were added to the workforce? Were they sustainable jobs? Because as we know, too, especially in Houston, and the national minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. And that's what it is here. I'm in Houston, so that $7.25 an hour is not going to help anybody pay rent or anywhere. And so I want to have a conversation with y'all as to what we need to do. Now I have a solution. Okay, I'll just go ahead and put it on out there, especially for us as Black people. We are going to have to get the Black man and the Black woman back together on the same page, because we cannot do it without each other, as we clearly see, right? They say two is better than one, right? Now we have a lot of us have our own household and living quiet lives, a desperation, and some people not so quiet, because as you saw there, they're saying, hey, they're supposed to be helping us, but they're not helping us. And we need to try to figure it out. So that's my solution. I'm just going to put it out there right up front. And so let me read your guys' comments, and then I'm going to put the link in if y'all want to come up here and have a conversation with me. Okay. And Troy, how you doing? And Twisted Logic, how are you doing today? He says, moving you out for those illegals who the government is paying the rent for. Make sure you're paying your rent. You know what? I think you're on to something. You are on to something. And then just being jazzy said, oh, that's in Pasadena. Okay. So I'm familiar with that area. They're saying Houston for whatever reason. Words of Wisdom, how you doing? And Marcella, how are you doing today? You say, our landlord told that they were going, I'm gonna put it up here. Our landlord told, I think he meant us, that they were glad that we kept the rent during the pandemic. They were so happy that they gave us a contract not to charge the price in the rent the price in the rent to 2026. We are so grateful. Yeah, that's a real Hail Mary, because a lot of people are getting their rent increase yearly. You know what I mean? And it ain't cheap. Sometimes like $100 or more. So you are very fortunate. Yeah, there's still a lot of pandemic fallout, believe it or not. A lot of states, I don't know about Texas, but I know California, they had a moratorium in place for evictions, but it sounds like that's lifted now. So yeah, you're very fortunate that you won't be seeing a rent increase. And Thunder, I was under the impression that it's in Houston, but somebody's saying that it's in Pasadena, Texas, which doesn't sound like it's that far from Houston. Y'all know I'm still kind of new here, so I'm still trying to figure out where I am. And King of Sorrow says, this isn't about rent, it's about crime. Yeah. And they said partially due to mismanagement of the funds. So it's like, what are they doing with the money? And is some of that on maybe the resident that's maybe not paying the rent? It's probably some of that as well. So it's a menagerie of things. But their complaint is that the property management is mismanaging the funds. So you're right. I mean, it is crime. But as they said, too, relating to crime, that a lot of those apartment complexes are in, bad areas, or it's mismanaged as far as keeping people safe. So they did say in one of those complexes that they were going to hire 4 more security guards to kind of patrol the place. But I don't even know if that's going to help, right? Hey, Kiki, how are you doing? Yes, it's very sad, but we've talked about it before, and we're actually going to start seeing more and more of that, um, because the wages aren't going up. Wages aren't increasing, but people's rents are increasing. So, like, how do you keep up with that? You go get 2 and 3 and 4 jobs. It's like, how many jobs can one get? You know what I mean? And not just the rent, but food, gas, everything. Even retailers are saying, like Walmart, Target, and even Amazon are like, yeah, we're starting to see a decline in sales because even the bargains aren't enough to draw people in because they're just cutting back. They're like, well, we just don't need it. Now we are to the point where we're buying what we need opposed to what we want. So there's even those, pretty popular retailers are like, yeah, we're gonna see a decline in sales as well. JBWR says, I don't think it's about rent. I think it's more about renter exploitation. It's a lot of that. A lot of places in the United States, they don't have rent control, right? Where they say, okay, you know what, landlord, you can't just be raising the rent whenever, right? There's got to be some sort of a control or a cap on it. That's not the case in a lot of places. I know a lot of places in California, they don't have what they call rent control. So the landlord can raise the rent, however and how much they want. So that's part of the problem as well. And Pensy Lola, I hope I said that right. How you doing? Peace and blessings to you as well. And GA, oh well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. How you doing, by the way? And King Sorrow says the reporter made it sound like it's about crime. That is, well, it's so they were saying in addition to the mismanagement of the funds, there are crime issues there. Like I don't know if she said though, but the lady at the end said that I think she was robbed or something, or somebody accosted her. And they had a copious amount of calls to the police due to the high crime. And high crime comes with high inflation, lack of resources and jobs and stuff like that. It's just, par for the course, if you will. So we're also going to see a lot more of that as well. And Kiki, you say mismanagement on the part of the tenants or management. They're saying that it's the management or the the housing management. So I don't know if housing is giving the funds to the management, but the management, they're not applying it to the people's rent. And then it also sounds like it could be on behalf of some of the tenants as well. Because I just fail to believe that they said like in one apartment complex, 250 people are facing eviction. So I fail to believe that it's all mismanagement. Some of it might be due to the tenant. I don't know, but I think it's probably both. We also say I was reading about a complex this year where the manager stole money and they were trying to make the tenants pay it back. Oh yeah, that's rampant. That's in a lot of places. I even know somebody who lives out here that happened to him. Where, how can I say this? They were telling him that he only owed so much. And he was like, oh, okay. So it was a lot, well, not a lot less, but a couple $100 less than what he would regular pay. They said, oh, you overpaid or something. But then they told him, well, no, the lady who told you that, she was actually stealing the funds. I don't know how that works. She was stealing the funds. And so they were trying to make him pay it back plus the late fees. So I told him, I said, no, tell him I'll pay what I owe, but I'm not going to pay the late fees and all that other stuff due to your employee that was stealing. And so they, because it's not legal for them to do that. But see, if they don't think the tenants know their rights, then they'll try to get away with it. So there's like, oh, okay, yeah, just pay, the part that she didn't charge you, which he still could have fought it. But it's like, okay, if you owe it, just pay it. But the late fees, nah, that's on them and their employee. Make her give that to them or whatever. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of that going on. And Thunder, you say, why don't some do like we used to back in the day? Everyone pile up at Big Mama's house and work 2 and 3 jobs until they are back on their feet. Yeah, that's how it was done, right? If and that's what's important too for us to have a family house per se. We don't really have that as much as we used to, right? There used to be a house that everybody could go to if they was down on their luck, grandmama's house or grandpapa's house or whatever. Hey, you know what? I'm having a hard time. They're like, oh, come on, baby, come back home or whatever, get yourself together. But I just think kind of unfortunately in our community, but now we're not going to have a choice. We kind of like our own thing, right? Like I got my own house. I don't want nobody living with me type of thing. but we are going to be forced to go back to that, especially if you live in somewhere like California. It's hard to survive there unless you really just have a good job. And I know people who are making six figures and they're like, yo, it's still kind of hard to live here. And I know people who aren't making six figures and they are going to have to start saying, okay, whose house do we want to live in so we can survive? Because that's where it's getting to. And GA says easier said than done. This D. And I'm sorry, I don't know exactly what you're referring to. So maybe I can put the link up in just a minute and you can tell me what that's about. And Black America says, yes, back together again. Yes, we need to get back together, Black America, the Black woman and the Black man, we need to get together. Oh, is that what you're saying, GA? Is it easier said than done? We need to get back together, get under the same household, and, so we can make life easier for each other, right? We've done it the hard way long enough, and now it's time for us to say, okay, let's quit playing and let's put this band back together. And JBWR says, Demetra, that is the best option. A combined income is more powerful than a prideful one. Exactly. There's a lot of people who are by themselves, and then I'm sure they're like, it'd be a lot easier if I had somebody here to help me share the load and, a whole bunch of other things, but definitely that. But it's going to get to that. And so might as well just do it willingly with somebody you really like, opposed to having to do it with somebody you don't really like. Thunder says, why not get married to a blue collar brother and put those incomes together? You know what? Me personally, I wouldn't have a problem marrying a blue collar brother. I mean, I really wouldn't. I like I said, I've never been, for me personally, one of those people's like, oh no, he's got to be, white collar and he's got to be doing this, that, and the other. I'm like, listen, as long as you got some income, we could put ours together and we could do a hell of a lot of things, So I totally agree with you. And, if women are on that, well, he needs to be making this kind of money. You might want to rethink that, especially if you're trying to get with a brother, because we know what the average income for Black men are and what Black women are. And it's, what Black men is a little under $50,000 a year. Black women is a little under, I think it's 40. So good luck with trying to find a Black man out there. Not saying that y'all don't exist, but in droves that's making six figures. And that's just waiting for you to come and say, hey, I'm waiting for you to take care of me. Hustle Legend, how you doing? It says, we as Black people are too divided to come together on anything these days. That saddens me. It saddens me as well, but we're going to be forced to do that eventually. So we might as well just do it now and say, okay, let's stop all the nonsense and find somebody that we really enjoy, or, we can learn to enjoy anyway, and put it together. Jana, how you doing today? And let's see here. And Robert, how are you? Says, New Mexico is horrible, and do tell. And Jana says, Child Pasadena is Harris County. It's all Houston and surrounding area. Yeah, I'm learning a lot about Harris County, and it's like, I don't know if, I really like Harris County much. It's a lot of nonsense going on. I just learned too that the water system, they said that it has 1,000 leaks a day, and that they're going to need billions of dollars to fix the water system. And it's weird because, like, whenever I start my water in the morning, or I said started like I have a well or something, but whenever I turn the water on in the morning when I wake up, I almost feel like I smell bleach. And I'm like, I mean, I know they put some chlorine in there, but it's like really strong. And so I don't cook with it or, any of that kind of stuff, because I'm kind of just freaked out knowing that they're having water issues, and I don't want to inculcate that into my body. And, it has some problems. So in Harris County is a trip. Hello, Brother Damon. How are you this evening? And words of wisdom, you say, we as Black people need to stick together because those other ones are creating resources for their own. Yeah, and they've been doing that. And we used to do it too, but we just need to get back to it. Hello, Robert. How are you? Facts, not feelings. What's going on with you? And Jana, you say rent and food cost is going up everywhere, but not wages. Absolutely. If you're living in California, I heard the gas is about $6 a gallon. That's supposed to be average. That on top of everything else that's just super expensive out there. And then I heard that Disneyland and I can't remember the other theme park, they're raising their prices. Now Disneyland already cost an arm and a leg to get in there, and now they're raising their prices. So it's like, damn, if I got a couple extra dollars to go have fun at Disneyland, I couldn't even do that because now y'all raising the prices. So and I get it. They're trying to keep up with the cost of inflation as well, but who's really going to be able to afford to do that, especially if you have a bunch of children, I remember back in the day, for my birthday, I took my mother and my daughter and my niece and nephew and a friend of mine, paid for everybody to get in and food and everything for $300. This was like 95, 96 or something like that. $300, and I paid for all of us to get in plus stuff to eat. So couldn't do that now. And Marvin, how you doing? Say, I know I'm late tuning in. No, you're not too late. Says, but becoming an immigrant seeking asylum is the solution. So you're saying for us or for other people? I think I'm confused. And Fishing with Ricky says, right, wages are terrible and rent is so bad here that professionals can't afford it. Mm-hmm. And Lynn, how you doing? Long time no see. You says Black people should focus on home ownership because it's hard living under these landlords' thumb. You're right. Home ownership would be optimal. But I read a report today that says that, of course, we know the interest rates for mortgage is super high. We live in somewhere like Texas. Texas has the highest property taxes in the nation. And they said that in order for people nowadays to afford a house at the prices that they're at, and they're saying we're also on a bubble, so you take it for what you want. But for people to afford houses at the price they are now, they said they're going to need a 55% increase on their wages. So where is anybody giving 55% increases on wages for people to afford a home? But I agree with you. Home ownership is the key, but people fail to realize with home ownership, you are now the landlord, right? So anything that goes on with the house, you are responsible for it. And a lot of people, they can't do it unless you have like a warranty insurance and stuff like that intact. And then a lot of times too, they still want you to pay a deductible on that. So there's a lot of things that go on it, but I agree with you. You're probably not going to have your rent raised if you're the landlord. You own your own house. And Black First Always, how you doing? It says, that's why I live in a tiny home. And that's what people are starting to do too. But how soon before they start to raise the prices on the tiny homes or, do something wonky with the land for you to put it the tiny home on the land, because you got to have the land, right? But that's what a lot of people are doing. And Black America says here in Vegas is about $250 to $350 per year, no rent control here. Is that rent? Like, what is that? And I'll put up the link in just a second. And Robert, you say New Mexico has no rent control. It's scandalous. Yeah, as a lot of places in the United States, they don't. And so landlords are like, and I get it kind of for them too. I don't get that they raise the rent just whenever, because they're, experiencing price increases on their end for something, regardless of what it is. But it's like, you need to raise the rent to that degree every year. It's like, come on, it's like, your tenant is probably not making any extra money. So where are you expecting them to get that extra money from? And then a lot of times what those landlords don't think about is, now you're going to have somebody move out or get evicted, and then you're going to have to spruce your place back up to get it up to par for somebody else to move in there. And then God knows how long it's going to take for you to get a new tenant. And then you're going to, want to bump the rent up on them for them to move in. And so it's like, you're going to end up screwing yourself in the long run. Just because you're kind of being greedy. I get sometimes you have to raise the rent, but a lot of it is greed. And they're doing it just because they can. And let's see here. And Damien says, America is scandalous. Yes, indeed. And just being jazzy, you say crazy. And Black First Always says, tiny homes are the way to go, at least until you get on your feet. Yeah. And most time people have a big house or a lot of space that they don't even use. There's a lot of people with a house with rooms that they haven't been in probably weeks. Or at least they don't go in the house every day. So it's like, am I really using all this space? Do I need it? Like, why do I have all these rooms if it's just me or maybe my husband or, my child or whatever? So tiny homes, I would imagine it takes some getting used to, but it's more economical in the long run. Facts Not Feelings, she says, how do you purchase a tiny home? Want to know more about it. I'm not an expert, but I do know that you can go to places like Home Depot, Lowe's. They have those. They range anywhere. I don't know. I think maybe like 10,000 or so, depending on what type of house you get. And then you have to have some land to put it on, but that's the bare minimum that I know about it. But Black First Always could probably answer that. Also, I see he did, or she, I'm sorry, whoever it is, answered it. And GA says, which retailers decide to go low on the goods and services will get everyone shopping at their store. That's true, but they're saying that Walmart is probably going to come out on top out of all those three retailers, Amazon and Target. And they say Target is going to do the worst. because typically they said because they have a giant food selection, so they have a full-fledged grocery store. Target, as some Targets do too, but I don't think it's as large as the Walmart. So they said they'll probably do a little bit better. But they're also saying that the sales that they're trying to have now, like before, like for Christmas or Black Friday, they'll say, "Oh, here's a, I don't know, 50-inch TV for 199 bucks." But now they're trying to do play on words and saying, "Oh, well, now we have this same TV for 40% off." See what I'm saying? So the 40% off still might not be as low as the $199, depending on how much the TV is. But it's to get the consumer to thinking, okay, I'm getting a deal, which I guess you would, but is it going to be as good as a deal as you would getting a TV for $199? Okay, so you're talking to Fishing with Rick. And hello, Miss Sweet Talk. I hope you're having a great day. Hello, John Tony. How are you doing today? And Robert says no resources for us in New Mexico, and that's probably pretty much everywhere at this point, right? Let's see here, just scaling down. And Ruth Tracker, he says, "I'm in SoCal, sis. It's a struggle and a hustle." Yeah, I'm from Southern California. My whole family is out there, and I do have family members who live together. You know, they have a big house, and they just share the burden of the cost of living as far as rent and all that kind of stuff. And it seems to be a little bit easier, but that's what a lot of people are just going to have to do. And until, like Thunder said, get a couple of gigs and try to do better, maybe buy some more housing, because that's what everybody else is doing. So we're going to just have to do the same. Okay, let's see here. And B1 says, if you can not buy a tiny home, you can finance it. The land can be financed too. So yeah, and a lot of people are just doing that in mobile homes too. I know some people in California who live in mobile homes at like a mobile home park or something like that. And it seems to be a lot less expensive that way. Black America says no more big mama house. They sell the house soon as grandmama dies. And that's so unfortunate. I hate it. I actually, my nephew's best friend, his grandmother passed, and she has one of the biggest houses in this area called the Wood Street area in Riverside. She has one of the biggest and the oldest houses that's worth like probably a couple of $1 million. And so the grandmother passed, and she left it to her grandson and two of her children. Now the grandson has more, I guess, share of the house. But his, I guess his mom and his uncle want to share the house, and he's selling it. And he's like, "No, we're not selling it." And I'm like, "Well, why would they sell that house?" She's a Black family that owns one of the biggest houses in there, and that part of Riverside is like high end type of older homes. But I'm like, why would they want to sell the house? Somebody else is gonna come in there that don't look like us. And for what? You if your mom would have still been living, you wouldn't have needed the money. So why are you trying to sell the house? It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, the house probably has about 8 bedrooms in it, at least. That's how big this house is, like historical. And Ruth's Tracker, he said, "You got your king. No, you are very fortunate." And Jana says, Black America, yep, and gentrify into a house that's 300,000 plus. And Mr. Barr, how you doing? He says U.S. politics and their cousins over in Europe running things are wicked. And he said, period. Love you, beloved Demetra. All praises, shalom. And I love you as well. Hope you're having a great day. And Black First, she says, I was in the army. I saved my money up and brought land and put a tiny home on it. That's the move right there. And your expenses, I'm sure, are very, very low. And then Tammy, how you doing? He says, I got to sell Big Mama's house because these reverse loan sharks prey on our elders. That's another thing too. A lot of the elderly people, they do get the reverse mortgages, I guess, where they don't have to pay the mortgage or something like that. And then I guess eventually it comes due. So that's another issue as well. But for those of people who don't get the reverse mortgages, it's like, keep the house. Don't you want a family house where people who may be down on their luck could go and stay or whatever, just to have in the family. But a lot of people just rather have the money and take it and do whatever, and then that piece of history is gone. And Roots Reggae Girl, he says, Blacks will get tired of being sick, and then maybe we can unite. I still have hope. Keep hope alive. I still have hope as well. And Roots Tracker says, y'all come to the Black Love School. Plenty singles. Oh, where is that? Plenty singles, and you do need to do the work. Community with love and romance is a must for us. I like it. Now, well, give us some details now. Don't hold back. And our black person says, I'm saving my money to move to Georgia, where the 19 families brought 96 acres of land. And what's going on with them? I haven't heard anything else about them since they were in the process of building on it. I heard that they purchased it, but I haven't heard anything else. Yanni, how you doing? He says, hi, Demetri. Yes, my son lives in North Dallas. It's bad there also. Yeah, it's going to get worse everywhere. And then Damon says, rest in eternal power to moms. She left me a home in the Antelope Valley under a trust. Proposition 19, I pay no property taxes. Lucky you. See, that's the move right there. And Antelope Valley, that's what we call, I guess, no. Oh, so you're in like Lancaster. I was thinking of somewhere else, like Hesperia. But yeah, my father lives in that area. I'm happy that happened for you. Oh, so Six Flags is raising their prices as well. It's crazy. Ruth Tracker, you say now Disney wants a head too. Yeah, an arm, leg, and a head, right? OG Patrice, how you doing this evening? And Ruth Tracker, you say also definitely we need to become a communal. It will take work on healing our trauma. Yes, indeed. All right, and let's see here. Tammy said property insurance is outrageous as well. Oh yeah, so, and a lot of people just they let it lapse. They can't afford it, and then when something happens, like they need a roof or something, like oh my god, then they either have to finance it or if they have some money laying around and getting a roof repaired is not cheap. And Pensy Lowly says, I tell my family all the time we're going to be forced to come together. Yep, it's gonna happen. Twisted Logic, you say I brought up foreclosed during the last bubble. Yeah, and that's it's going to be a lot of foreclosures coming up next. You just have to be in position to do it. But unfortunately, a lot of times, the banks or whatever, they get in there, or investors with a bunch of money and they just swoop them up. But yeah, getting a foreclosure would definitely be the way to go, because a lot of times they sell them very cheaply. And Marvin says, I was being sarcastic. Many immigrants are getting subsidies and benefits while we are struggling with a dual income. Yeah, they get like nice stuff as far as being put up, especially in New York. They're getting nice fancy hotels and all that kind of stuff. And like you said, we got people in the United States sleeping on the street while the migrants are coming and they're getting resources and just all kind of stuff. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Thunder says, why not learn how to cook to save money? Yep. It says Wally World has deep freezers for sale less than 200. And to go to a butcher shop and get a meat deal. The old folks made rice and beans with smothered chicken. Yeah, absolutely right. Gonna have to learn how to cook at home. I mean, because even eating out, the prices are going through the roof as well. I'm personally one of those people. I don't like to eat out much. I like to cook at home, because your money does go farther and you're in control of what you're eating. And I tend to like what we make here at the house better than eating out, because I'm, mostly plant-based. I'd say probably 99.9% plant-based. So I can't really eat out much anyway without having to go off the grid. So yeah, it'll be a lot more economical. But you're on to something with the beans and rice and, put some chicken or whatever with it. But a lot of people are like, I'm not going to be eating no beans and rice. But it's like, eventually you ain't gonna have no choice. And we should really be to the point to where we are stocking up on beans and rice right now, because who's to say when that time comes, because it will, there won't be a shortage, or they won't be super expensive, right? So you're onto something, Thunder. And CB, how you doing? He says, what will happen to all the black buying power? Well, we have black buying power. Y'all know how much money we see in our community. What this says, on track to look at being almost close, I guess, in a couple of years to $2 trillion. We just give most of that away, 97% of that. So we have to learn how to keep the dollar within our community like everybody else does. And I think that would help too. Like I said, the black man and black woman getting back on the same page, getting back under the same roof. And, family members might have to stop being selfish and say, hey, listen, I know y'all struggling over there. It's going to be kind of tied up in here, but come on over here. Let's make it work. Like Thunder said, we get a couple of gigs and figure out how we can do better. So we're going to have to start doing that. And I think that would help us keep the dollar more in our community as well. Michael, how are you doing? He says we need a shift in policies to increase home ownership. canceling interest on home loans, reducing home prices with the federal government, increasing home grants, and eliminating property taxes. And I totally agree with you, but I kind of think that's a little utopian as well, because we know they ain't gonna do that. They're not going to decrease anything or reduce or get rid of for anybody, because they need that money to help take care of everybody else, right? So but I agree with you, but that'll never happen. And Robert says, unfortunately, some same owner under a different LLC. So I think you may be talking to somebody else. And Alan, how you doing? He says, I'm in Virginia and the evictions are serious around here. How do I know? I just had a court hearing today for being $400 short for rent, and they issued a writ of eviction. It's real out here. That is crazy. For $400. And so what they're probably going to do is, rent it out to somebody else for more money. But that's what they're doing to people. And like, I can't remember who said it. Maybe it was B1, I think maybe said it. That, I don't know if y'all paying attention, but a lot of the states are like, hey, y'all, can y'all, maybe let some of these migrants live with you guys. We could try to help them out. They're like literally asking people to do that. So they might be onto something too. Maybe they're going to get a subsidy from the government to help put the migrants up. Because I know a lot of hotels, I think in New York and Chicago, that they were helping veterans. They were actually evicting them and then bringing in the migrants because they were going to get more money for the hotel rooms to house the migrants. So, I mean, that could be what's going on too, but I'm sorry that happened to you. Hopefully you find somewhere else to live. But yeah, getting evicted over $400, that's insane. And Pensy Lola says the elderly are being evicted at high rates because of rising rents. Yeah, they're on fixed incomes. They can't afford to live, right? They are on fixed incomes, and the landlord or whatever they're at, they don't care. They're just, like, so where are these people supposed to go? But that's also a case for us to take in our elderly people. If we know we have parents that are struggling, bring them into the household. Don't have them out there struggling by themselves, because again, that's what a lot of other communities do. They would never dream of having their elderly parents out there struggling or living in a home or anything like that. They just bring them into the house until, they go on to glory per se. And Tammy says they sell tiny home kits. Okay. So let me skip down a little bit, because I think I'm a little bit behind. And Michael says other countries have affordable homes such as Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, etc. They do. They absolutely do. And Ricky say, here in Nashville, it's a huge tourist city. Part of the problem is them folks put an Airbnb all over the place. That's part of it too. It says, and they sit empty a lot, whereas a family could use those houses. So that kind of happened after the pandemic too, where a lot of people bought the houses to do Airbnbs, and they were doing well for a while. But some cities, they put, I guess, like caps on the Airbnbs, because they're like, at one point in time, I think maybe Atlanta might be like that. Don't quote me. To where it was almost, I don't want to say more Airbnbs, but it was a lot of them, to where it's like, okay, we need these houses for people to live, and y'all buying them up for Airbnbs to rent them out. So I think they put a cap or something like that on there. Twisted Logic, it says maybe that was always the plan, because they know that immigrants will have 10 folks deep, and the government are paying their rent. Starting to make sense. Rent may get even worse because of this. That is correct. You're welcome, Facts Not Feelings. And Twisted Logic says, I think Temu and Shein are cutting into their profit too. Yes, they are. Temu, I know a lot of people are leery about it. I've never ordered anything off of there, but I know Shein has fast fashion, where it's a couple of bucks for a dress, and or whatever, men can go on there too, and buy something, opposed to having to go to a high-end store like Macy's or something and spending a lot of money for something that kind of looks the same. Yeah, the quality is probably not as good, but you're not going to, have to spend too much money trying to look decent. And CB says, peace, love, much respect, Demetra in chat. Yes, indeed. And Jai says, America has failed, a failed racist state. Can't even pay everyone a living wage of $28 an hour so we can afford to live. The degeneracy of predatory capitalism. Exactly. I want to keep people on the hamster wheel, right? And our Thunder says, question, why not do like them for old folks and grow some groceries and rice and gravy? Goes a long way. This is what it will take for us to make it. We did it before we could do it again. Yeah, we got to get out of that consumeristic mindset of, oh, I got to, go out to eat. or, I got to buy this, that, and the other. Sometimes we're going to have to rearrange our palate a little bit and say, well, I wouldn't necessarily want to eat rice and beans more often than I was before, but I'm probably going to have to do it to save some money. Like you said, learn how to grow food, and all of that, and make things that go a long way. It's just going to have to be rearranging our mindset. You can't be at Papados every day, because that's not sustainable. It's just not. So I agree with you. Roots Tracker says we own a house in Southern California, which is cheaper. I got my mom and my aunt, her sister, to live together. Yeah, that's how it needs to be done. Hello, Dave. How are you doing? And Twisted Logic says probably can't afford the taxes. And hey, Shaniqua, how are you doing this fine evening? Thunder says, did you know that in Texas, if your home has 5 bedrooms or is $5,000 square, 5,000 square feet and is up is considered a mansion? I did not know that. But one thing I do know about, I would say Harris County is, I noticed in a lot of these neighborhoods, you can have a house and a nice house, right? And then right next door to it, it can be like a mechanic shop or something. It's like, I don't know. I don't know about that. I wouldn't want a mechanic shop or something right next door to my nice house. Doesn't sound like their zoning is that stringent. You can kind of build whatever, wherever you want. So, but no, I didn't know that. That's interesting. Hello, L Boogie. Long time no see. I hope you are doing well. Hello, Quita. How are you doing? And Herbert, how are you? And Michael says to maintain affordable housing, we need to eliminate a policy provision where the state can see someone's home. Okay, you got a lot of good ideas, but are they willing to implement those things? Shaniqua, you say, yes, it's getting crazy, and it falls on Democrats. Like the conversations always lead back to leadership, and we need to educate ourselves on who we put in political seats. Also, management can be something else as well, and make it different for tenants to where the tenants want to report, but scared to report because management will retaliate and risk evictions. Is sad. And retaliate, and a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to tell them that there's a leak or something going on because they might raise the rent. And people shouldn't live in fear. Like, if your house, you're a landlord and you have an issue that needs to be fixed, the tenants shouldn't feel like I can't say nothing because they might try to raise the rent to get their money back or whatever. In a lot of cases, people just learn how to do the repairs themselves. If it's something minor that, you'll need to disturb the landlord for, because that's what I do. I just, if I can fix it myself, then I just fix it myself. I figure out how to do it on my daughter, and we go on YouTube or whatever, and then we just figure it out for something small. And it's some things that are not so small. Like over the summer, I was out in the backyard and I noticed that the insulation, which wasn't hard to fix, but the insulation for the AC was kind of worn and it was coming apart. So I ordered stuff from Amazon, and I put it together, and everything was great, because I'm like, okay, if that is exposed for too long, y'all know how hot it was here. He said if it's exposed for too long, then it's going to cause problems, maybe cause an AC to break or whatever. So I just fixed it myself, opposed to calling him to come over here and do it. So it wasn't a big deal. All right, and so let's see here. I'm gonna skip down so I catch up. Christopher, how you doing? He says, I don't need a man. And I voted 98%. A Democrat has come back to bite Black women in the behind. Yeah, unfortunately it has, but in the video that I showed, it was some men up in there too talking about, they were supposed to be helping us, they being, the housing authority and all of that. So yeah, I get where you're going, but we're gonna need to get back together and stop all the foolishness, right? And Dave, if I didn't already, how you doing? It says contractors are building upscale housing in apartment complexes in a lot of low income communities, especially in major cities such as Atlanta, New York, and probably in the city where you're staying in Raising. Yeah, in the 3rd Ward and 5th Ward, where the older homes seem to be, the more historical district, I guess you can call it. You drive through there and you'll see a brand new house or brand new apartment complex, and literally right next door to it might be a house that's on blocks or something, or that seems to be dilapidated. And so you're starting to see that come in. And some of those houses are going for like $325,000. It's like, for real? But somebody will buy it because they can see the future, that eventually that whole neighborhood will be leveled and they'll have all new stuff there, which is sad. Yes, and you say taxes are forcing people out. And Quita says, I have a cabinet full of different dried beans. Yep, same here. Because we gonna need them eventually. Marcella says, while listening to you, I'm up here cooking. It literally takes me hours to cook a meal because literally I wash and chop the vegetables, and that takes time. Yeah, it does. If you really cooking, like you cooking, it does take time. You have to plan. I know sometimes I'll get up really early if I know what I'm going to make the day before. I'll just get up early, and I'll just start preparing. I have a crock pot, and I just got a Dutch oven, which I love. You can do a whole lot of stuff in the Dutch oven. You can actually put it in the oven. You can cook stuff on the stove. So I've been using that, and my daughter as well. And we've been making some pretty good things. But yeah, it does take time to prepare. But if you prepare, and I'm sure maybe you're doing that as well, a lot of stuff, you can maybe have some meals for a couple of days, right? And then even freeze it, if you're tired of eating, and then, thaw it out for another day and then eat that. So if you're doing it right, it does take time to prepare. And Thunder says, question, is it true that there's a lot of work in California from Pomona to Figueroa? You say the Democrats say that this type of work is called survival work when immigrants do it. So Pomona to Figueroa, that's Los Angeles County. He said there's a lot of work. I want to know what kind of work. Is it like sustainable work where people can take care of themselves? Because if it's for migrants, it's probably maybe like warehousing, stuff like that. But I haven't heard anything about it. I do know that in California and a lot of places, even in Texas, they're allowing people to be substitute teachers, even if you don't have teacher credentials, like maybe you have a degree or something like that. But if you don't have teaching credentials, they're allowing people to be substitute teachers. One of my nephews, he's doing it. He's making like $250 a day being a substitute teacher. So, because they have a shortage of teachers, right? Arniba, how are you doing this evening? And Black Man, how are you? Says, see, them folks don't believe in the military unless it's against us. Okay. Michael says, Demetria, what I'm offering is not utopia because the developers and big corporations are controlling various levels of government. It is a lack of political will. The data is there. No, I believe you, but the will of the politicians is not there. You know what I mean? So they're just not going to do that. I wish that they would, though. All right. So, Pop, how are you doing this evening? All right, I'm going to skip down. I keep saying that, but I'm reading every comment. And Thunder says, wouldn't we have more funds to help if we kept it in the country and not abroad? Now, we would, right? But they're sending money every which way but here. And then they'll tell us, well, we ain't got it. I don't know what you're going to do, right? But everybody else is benefiting. It's almost hard to believe. Because we know that politicians kind of do stuff that's kind of crazy, but what the Biden administration is doing is just really unexplainable, if you ask me. Patricia, how you doing? It says the 400 years is up and it's going to get worse. I totally agree with you. And we're starting to see that as we speak. And Roland's review, how you doing? It says hello. And let's see here. 5,000 square feet is huge. That's a pretty big house. So I guess when you think about it, I guess it could be considered a mansion. What's the average size of a mansion? Thunder said there's no zoning in Houston. It's a blessing and a curse. Blessings. You can have a small home. Curse. The next guy can build a mansion and drive you out with property tax increases. See, yeah, that's what I don't like. And especially, like I said, somebody can build a restaurant or a mechanic shop right next to you. It's like, I would, in California, you can't do that. They make sure that, it's congruent with the neighborhood. You can't just slap a auto shop in the middle of a residential neighborhood. They won't let you do it. But here, and at least in Houston, Harris County, yeah, they let you do it, which is why I wouldn't be wanting to buy a house unless it was in a, nicely established neighborhood where you couldn't do that, where there wasn't land, I guess I would say. But I wouldn't want to buy a house here just for that, one of the reasons. Harold, how you doing? And welcome from Cincinnati. Damon, YouTube is great for do it yourself. Okay, so, and Michael, how are you doing today? And Roost Tracker say, start gardening. Even in smart pots, you can grow all veggies and fruit trees. Yes, indeed. We're going to have to do that. Facts Not Feeling says, I cook 3-course I think he meant meal simultaneously in 15 minutes. Yeah, it can be done, especially if you're good at what you do. And meal prepping don't have to be intricate. It can be something simple or whatever the case is, whatever you're going to eat. But sometimes it does take a little bit of preparation to cook, like especially if you're going to do fresh vegetables and stuff, because it's expensive to buy it already chopped. And I would tell you guys another hack. I got like a mandolin. Oh my gosh, I love that thing. I'm like mandolin crazy. It's where you can slice different fruits, vegetables, or whatever kind of food that you want to slice. And it saves time, and it just, it's easier to cook. I go crazy with that thing. My daughter's like, "Em, you gonna use that for everything, huh?" I'm like, "Yep, I sure am." And Marcella said, "That's exactly what I do. I prepare enough food for a couple days just in case I don't feel like cooking. I even bake my own cookies and cake. Yep, I'm in the process of getting me a bundt cake pan. I left my other one. It was actually my mother's in California. So maybe when I go back again, I'll see if I can bring it back. But I'm gonna get one because I told my daughter I want to start buying all that stuff so that way I can pass down to her and then she can pass it down. But I do plan to be baking some cakes. And my daughter says she says it's really gonna be me baking it because my daughter can bake. I said, no, I'm gonna try to bake, this winter, try to learn some stuff. So I'm gonna get me a bundt pan among some other things. Let's see here. Roos Tracker says Figueroa is a street. Pomona is in the desert area. Yeah, so that's what I was kind of trying to figure out. But they are both in, I guess, Los Angeles County, in the Los Angeles area anyway. All right, so let's see. And Pop, you say, Demetra, I now have solar glasses on my store for the solar eclipse. And isn't that supposed to be taking place relatively soon, the next month or so? I saw something about it. Anthony, how are you doing today? Oh, I made it to the bottom. Yes. And MC Fact, welcome. Long time no see. How are you doing? Arniva says, the will of the politician is controlled by big money. Exactly. And just like we're hearing about the student loans, right? Joe Biden said he was going to forgive some student loans. It was 50,000, then it was 10,000, and he got taken to court. And then, they're forgiving some here and there. But Joe Biden is a corporatist. He makes a lot of money from banks and all of that. And the banks are like, listen, what you're not going to do is forgive the student loan debt because we getting money off the interest, right? A lot of people's student loans is mostly interest. If not, a lot of what they owe is interest. And so to cancel the student loans means that the bank is going to lose out on a lot of money. So it sounds good in theory, but yeah, Joe Biden, I'm sure somewhere, somehow, and we've kind of heard a lot about it, especially in regards to his son, he's getting a kickback. So wiping away, and I think they said the student loan debt is almost $2 trillion at this point. It's a lot of money, but they're sending that money everywhere else. So why not help the people? Because most of the people with the student loan debt, I would imagine, they would put that money back into the economy if they weren't paying student loan bills. They would be able to buy stuff. And some of them would be able to buy a house or a car. So that would just fuel the economy. But we know why they won't do it. So you're absolutely right. And Ricky said, just today I saw they are sending 200 million to Israel for weapons on top of what they're already sending to Ukraine. It's a damn shame. Absolutely. Y'all see what's going on? Yeah. That's when I'm starting doing, baking some cakes. And I don't really like eating sugar. So I'll try to do some plant-based stuff, although it does cost for some sweetener. But I was thinking about maybe baking some and giving some away or something. I don't know. But I just want to get into it because my grandmothers and my mom, they were bakers. My grandmother on my dad's side, Sakatumi cake, that was her thing. So I want to learn how to do it. And my grandmother on my mom's side, she did the 7-Up cakes. And it's kind of weird because my grandmother on my mom's side, she was more like New York, right? Like a little bit more high society like. So she would do like the checkerboard cakes and all that kind of stuff. And my grandmother from my dad's side is from Texarkana. So, not so checkerboard cakes kind of stuff, but Sakatumi cake type of stuff, pound cakes. So I want to learn how. I know how, but just kind of start doing both of those. And that's just kind of gets me getting older, right? Let me get my glasses on. I'll bake you a cake, honey. Marcella says, I celebrate Thanksgiving, but I love me some homemade dressing. I make my own biscuits. I make my own cornbread. I make a special mix that goes into it that's full of vegetables. Now you're making me hungry. But yeah, I don't celebrate Thanksgiving either, but I do like to, make certain things because it's cooler at time of the year. And I don't know, just kind of puts you in the mood to cook and to bake and things like that. So I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm doing well, MC Fact. I hope you are doing well as well. And Kelton, I am doing well. How about yourself? And let's see here. And Rick says, love y'all very much, beautiful black people. Unfortunately, I have to dip. God bless you all. Well, thank you for stopping by. Come back and see us again. Hi, Cube. How you doing? He says the Democrats issued unlimited dollars, and and that caused huge inflation. Quality businesses and jobs are seeing massive layoffs and low-paying businesses and job growth. Yeah, I tell people, especially if you work in a warehouse, you guys are going to see it first because you're going to start to see things slow down. Maybe you won't see as many orders coming in and things like that. So you guys are kind of on the front, the ground level, if you will, to see what's going on. And you're kind of like the litmus test of what the economy is going to do. But yeah, there's a lot of layoffs coming. People just they can't afford it, right? Inflation is getting everybody. Uh, it's almost gonna, you hear about a trickle down effect. It's going to be a trickle up effect. Even the wealthy, they'll start to have to pull back on some of the things that they're doing because they get the money from us, right? And then that very light disappearing middle class, if there is such a thing anymore, they also get the money, funnel the money up to the wealthy because maybe they work for them, or maybe they are buying something from the wealthy, is what I mean, or whatever the case is. Or maybe the wealthy is employing the middle class and the working class, I guess you could say. But everybody's gonna feel it, so we need to kind of brace for that. Root Tracker, you say a mandolin is good. We need one. Blanch, freeze, pickle, and jar my own collards, kale, Swiss chard, tomatoes, peas, Armenian cucumbers, okra, eggplants, etc. Wow, you got it going on. My daughter's really got into liking okra. Like, she loves okra. It's not something that I loved, but I've started to get into it too. I was sauteing them and stuff. And my daughter's like, you gotta make some more of those. So yeah, all those things sound wonderful. And at the very least, when it goes down, you have some really nutritional things to eat. But that mandolin is the way to go. Makes things so much easier. And Marcelli says, I look up YouTube for food that I don't know how to make, because one thing I am is a great soul food cook. I don't eat pork anymore, but I make some screaming greens. Yeah, YouTube is the way to go. Even on TikTok, that's where my daughter goes. She goes to TikTok to find recipes and stuff like that. We also see a lot of people who have these cooking shows on the internet now, and they do reels, and so they show how to cook. So I've actually learned a lot of different and new techniques or whatever to making cooking easier. Because my daughter will tell you, like, her dad is a chef. Like, he's a full-on chef. He does it all. Wonderful chef. But he tells her, he says, your mom does like mom cooking, where I'll just kind of get some stuff and I'll throw it together or figure out how to put stuff together and it'll taste good. So there's no method to my madness. But so I would like to get more into recipe cooking. Didn't really have the patience for it. My daughter does, but me, not so much. I'm like, okay, we'll just put this together. This is how you do it. This, that, and the other. Use this pot, this pan. But I want to get a little bit more disciplined. And High Cube says, which have led to significant drop in real income and higher living costs and rents due to inflation. This seems to be a sudden increase in the eviction. Yeah, people, the wages aren't going up. If the rent is going up, the wages aren't going up. It's like, I can't afford to live here, right? And Alan say, I have 2 masters, almost done with a doctorate, and 189,000 in student loans. You say, and can't find a job, paying over 40,000 student loans, and the educational system was a setup. Yes, I agree with you. And because, a lot of times we hear people say, well, you shouldn't have got those student loans, and nobody told you to do all that. And it's like, there's more to it than people just got these student loans just because, right? As I talk about in 2008, we know that our housing market crashed or whatever, and it caused the ripple throughout the workforce and a whole bunch of stuff. And a lot of people's jobs just went away. It wasn't that they got laid off. The job or whatever it was they were doing just went away. And maybe they were trained to do that for years and years. And so they was like, okay, well, let me go back to school to learn a new craft, because like going to work at McDonald's, I might have to do that temporarily, but I can't do that for the rest of my life because I might have a house and some kids and a wife or whatever. I got things to do. So I'm going to go back to school, learn something else, a new career, and then maybe I can go off with that. But also, people don't take into account that back in the day, you could go to school and pay off a student loan relatively quickly, right? I remember when I first started school in the 90s, I think per credit or unit, it was $3 or something like that. I don't know what it is now. So people don't factor those things in. And so they like to shame people for having student loan debt. But you're right. The educational system, it's not what it was. I mean, it's cost an arm and a leg and a head to go to school. And then the jobs that are out there, they don't want to pay you. You got 2 masters, and you'll probably look at some of those job specs or qualifications, and they want you to do a million things. They're what they're doing now. They're cramming like 2 and 3 and sometimes 4 jobs into one. They want one person to do all that stuff for very little money with a master's. It's like, are you crazy? I can't afford to work for you for $40,000. I just can't afford to even do that. But that's what a lot of companies are doing. It's abusive, actually. Thunder says the Democrats said that the street walking on the blade is called survival work when the immigrants do it. But if we do it, they call it crime. That's why I asked about, you're talking about that, Pomona and Figueroa. So as Roots Tracker said, Pomona is a city. Figueroa is like a boulevard. But yeah, you see how they make provisions for them. But a lot of people going to be on the blade or, behind the blade, and they don't want to be because, they just need to survive, right? Michael says student loan forgiveness not only helps people to buy homes, but it also gives them freedom to start a business. Yeah, so there's a lot of things they could do with that extra money, but a lot of people are just saddled with student loan debt and a whole lot of other debt. Marcelli says, I do unleavened from when I was a child, when I used to have it for feast day. So it's unleavened bread, which is really good, by the way. I try not to eat a lot of bread, but I do like to eat bread. And our Roots Tracker says definitely there's zoning in California. Some areas have mixed residential and business properties. So yeah, I know where I'm from in Riverside County. Now you can't just be throwing up no auto shop in the middle of a residential area. They'll get you. And Thunder says, question DK, what do you know about Sakatumi cake? I guess you are Southern Belle. Well, my grandmother, both of my grandmothers actually were Southern Belles. My grandmother on my mom's side, they were in Valdosta, Georgia. Then they went to Connecticut. And so I have family in the tri-state area, if you will. And then my dad's mom from the South, Texarkana. So, they were Southern Belles. But yeah, the Sakatumi cake, man, woo! I'm glad that I'm not baking right now because I would just be out of control. I'd just be eating Sakatumi cake. I just like make it like a sandwich. And peach cobbler, I know how to make peach cobbler. I can do that in my sleep. And 7-Up cake, I love 7-Up cake. But I know a little bit about it. Hey, Don, how are you doing? He was supposed to be coming on here, but he had some business to tend to. He said he was waiting on a tow truck because y'all know he sells cars. So I don't know what that's about, but maybe he'll pop in here before we get out of here. We'll see. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's getting cooler now, so now I can start wearing my afro out. It's 73 degrees here in Houston. Now, last week it was like in the 90s still. So they said it's going to get like super, super, super cold here. Like we're going to experience a real bad freeze. So hello, DJ PD. How are you doing today? I am doing well. And Nubian Cutie, too, how you doing? Says, so happy that I caught you live. And I'm happy that you are here. And a Roost Tracker says, get spineless okra. You will be all right. I guess I need to figure out what exactly spineless okra is because we just kind of get it whole. And I use my mandolin and I slice them up and then I put them in a pan, season them up and saute them and stuff like that. And she loves it. Like that's kind of all she wants to eat as vegetables is okra. So I was like, all right, it seems to be healthy. She tried some okra water one day and I said, hell to the no. I'm not drinking no okra water. That's a little bit too slimy for me. I can't do it. Bunny says, try okra, tomato, corn, and chicken of rice. You'll thank me later. And welcome to the South. I'll have to keep that in mind. Not eating much meat nowadays. I'm not saying I never will, but right now I'm just kind of laying low on the meat, just so I can really get my appearance and my health back together. But that does sound good, though. It does. Michael said, Demetra, what do you say to wealthy people who are upset because they can no longer afford to keep their maids in today's high inflation economy? I don't really have anything to say to them about being upset about that. I mean, because I guess if I had that type of money and I had a maid, I would be upset if I couldn't afford to keep them for whatever reason. Because if you have a maid, that tends to mean that you have a little bit of resources, some money, right? And it also indicates that you don't want to do your own cleaning or cooking or whatever they do, and because maybe you don't know how or whatever, you don't have the time. So if I was in that situation, I couldn't afford to keep them. Yeah, I'd be upset, if that I have to now do that stuff myself. Because as I said, a lot of people who are very busy, that comes in handy to have somebody help them. And I would say being a maid is not degrading unless you work for somebody who's horrible. Both of my grandmothers were domestics. They worked for other people, wealthy people, doctors and stuff like that. As I often tell y'all, my dad's mom was what they call a domestic and a nanny for Jamie Lee Curtis. And my grandmother on my mom's side, she was domestic in Santa Barbara for a wealthy doctor. So it's not a degrading line of work. Many of our grandmothers, they did that, and they were able to buy homes and save money and all of that because you got it. I'm 52, so my grandmother on my dad's side would have been over 100, and my grandmother on my mom's side 1920. So she'd probably been 102 at this point. Yeah, she'd be 102. Um, they come from the school of box cake, Betty Crocker. We're not. They come from some scoops of flour, some sugar, some salt, some this, They come from building all of their food from the ground up, and they were very resourceful, right? Like I don't ever really remember. I could probably count on one hand the times that I remember any of my grandmothers going out to eat. Because whenever we would visit, they would always cook. I remember maybe with like my mom's mom a few times, with my grandfather, a few times going out to eat in my whole entire life while she was alive. And my grandmother on my dad's side, I never remember her going out to eat. I'm not saying she didn't, but I just never saw her do it. They were always cooking. So they were able to be domestic, save money, buy their own homes. In fact, my grandmother on my father's side, she had her own home and a home behind her. She bought from being a domestic. So, Fly Guy, how you doing? And Michael said, Demetra, we have student loans because Reagan and Democrats cut funding for higher education in the last 40 years. Yeah, that's part of it. And it's the educational system is a business. We know that. And a lot of it is greed. Even when I was going to school, hell, like a textbook could run me $100, $150, $200. So I ain't no telling what they are now. It's like, why does a person need to pay that much for a textbook? And a lot of the universities and colleges, they mandate that the professors make the students buy books. Now, I was fortunate when I was going to school, college, I had some professors that was like, I know what it's like to be a student, and I'm not going to make y'all buy the book. Here's where y'all can get some free material, or here I'm going to provide it for you. Maybe they print it out or whatever, or they found a way for us not to have to spend the money on the book. But yeah, so it's a hustle. The whole thing is a hustle. You know what I mean? Like when I graduated with my master's, I have a master's too, and my BA, I have to buy the cap and gown each time, and I'm like, that don't come with it. All the money I've given this university, I don't get it for free. And when you have a master's, you can't use the gown that you got for your undergraduate. You got to get a special one with the bat wings and the tassels and all the regalia you have to. So like I don't get that for free. No, you have to pay for it. So and then Fly Guy says $3 per credit would be incredible. Yeah, that was years ago, but I don't know what it is now. But you can see going to school, and if you have to get some student loans, all right, I'm gonna be able to pay that off. But then you can also get a job, right? Even when I graduated high school in 1989, and I know a lot of people who didn't even have to get a degree to get a good county job or something like that, right? They were doing well for a lot of people. But then a lot of those jobs, businesses, especially if you work for like the government, the county or something like that, They wanted you then to get a degree. And I know people who had been working at the county for years. And then in order for them to promote up, they had to go get a degree. Now they had to go spend some money, get some student loans just to promote up so they could get the raise. Because what was happening is, let's say they were there for 15 years or so, they were seeing people who were, new to the job or into that career coming in there and making way more money than them because they had a degree. So they're like, okay, even if I quit and try to go find something else, I'm still going to need a degree for where I go. So let me go back to school and let me get a degree so I can promote up. And that still didn't guarantee that they would get a promotion. So there's a lot that goes into that. Michael says student loans started in 1992 and have taken off since then. Yeah, it's crazy. There's people. My daughter said one of her professors had over $500,000 in student loan debt that I guess his parents helped them get because they have those the parent student loans where your parent co-sign as well. And he says, and he worked at several universities, and he says if I default on the loans, they take my parents' house. My parents' house that they've had forever. If I default, they take the house. So he said I'll work and probably until I die unless I get a score a lot of money somewhere. But I'm working so that I don't default and they don't take my parents' house. So Third Coast McQueen, how you doing? He says okra gumbo is good. Yeah, from what I understand, that's what they put in it, right? In the juice, was it gumbo file or I don't know how to make it. But the liquid, anyways, is okra because okra can be kind of on the slimy side. But yeah, and Beverly, how are you doing? Says it's sad about all these evictions and economy going down. God help us. Bidenomics shaking my head. Yeah, and he doesn't seem to be fazed by it at all. It's like this crotchety old man. You guys need to figure out what you gotta do. Because he was the one that was like, all right, enough. The pandemic's over. Everybody back to work, right? That was him. And then remember when he came and he was coming into office or he was running for the presidency, he was telling people, he sat there in Georgia, oh, there's going to be all this money that go out. I think he said like $2,000 or something was going to go out. Y'all get me in there. Like he literally said, if y'all get me in office, $2,000 checks are going to go out. Then he got in office and says, well, it's really $1,400 because Trump had already gave y'all $600. And it's like, see, you're lying. But yeah, he pretty much declared it over and y'all get back to work because there all these jobs are waiting for y'all to get back to work. It's like, man, don't nobody want to work at Taco Bell, McDonald's. I mean, that's what teenagers are supposed to do. Not no fully grown people that got like real life responsibilities. And Thundy says, I'm in over rice. And if you grow okra, trust me, get spineless okra, your fingers will thank you. So what is it like little prickly things on there or something? I have to tell my daughter about that. She'll probably be growing it, not me. You also say them old folks knew the value of ownership. I was surprised at how much land them old folks owned. We can learn a few things from them. Yeah, they understood the value of home ownership. They just did, and owning land. Us, the minute they leave up out of here, I'ma sell it. I'm selling. I'm gonna take the money and I'm gonna go do something else with it. It's like, why? You ain't gonna do nothing else with it but trick it off. And then all that, those floors that your grandmama scrubbed or the factories that your grandfather worked in or whatever, all that's in vain. So you just had some money you didn't do nothing with. It's crazy to me. Alan says 500 plus credit hour, or you mean credit score, or maybe you're talking to somebody else. Kelton says, "Kay, can you see me? How are you?" I see you. I'm doing well. I said hello to you, but maybe you didn't hear me say hello. But I can see you. I'm doing well. I hope you are doing the same. Third Coast McQueen says, "I'm going on 3 weeks with no meat." And how do you feel? How do you feel? By the way, I know because I told you guys I was vegan for 7 years, starting in 2014. In about 2021, I kind of, once I moved out here, started to eat meat, gained a bunch of weight and stuff. And then as of July, I went back to being plant-based, and I feel amazing. So how do you feel? And Urban Baked, how you doing? It says, bring back trade schools. They were in high demand. then they tried to shame those of us that went, but we still made as much as college graduates. Yeah, and a lot of people with trades, they make more than college graduates. So there, but that's what we need. Carter G. Woodson told us that in Miseducation of the Negro. Degrees are great, but we need people to continue trades. Like you said, if your grandma, your mom was a washerwoman, or wash laundry, or white people's laundry, figure out how to revolutionize that, or reinvent it. Maybe get a laundromat or something like that. But we still need those things, right? If we go need a dry cleaner, there's no hardly any black dry cleaners anymore. We go to the Asians or somebody else. So we still need those things. We need grocery stores and all that stuff. Shoe repair, because we those is that we spend that money. But for whatever reason, we got to the point to where we thought, well, that's not a glamorous thing. I'm going to tell people I have all these alphabets behind my name. It was like there's a lot of people with a lot of alphabets behind their name, and they ain't got no money in their bank account. So you're absolutely right. People with trades, they make a lot of money. MC Fact, $500,000 in student loan debt. That's what she said her teacher had, and that he'll forever work to save his parents' house. He said, I cannot default on the loans, or that they will take. I guess the loan is the house is collateral or something. So it's crazy. Thunder says, speaking of money, the Powerball is 1.7 billion tonight. Now we went and got us some lotto tickets. My daughter says, if we hit the lotto, she says we're not packing up nothing. We taking the stuff that we want and that's near and dear to us, and we getting out of here. She said we ain't taking the cars or nothing. I was like, we'll see. Good luck to everybody that played. All right. So Black Man says white men shipped manufacturing jobs overseas, and now they are using robots to do fast food jobs. They use degrees to keep us out of employment, and you have to pick the right education for your area. Yeah, that is true. Because a lot of times when you see warehouse jobs in a certain neighborhood, they do all the math and see, they study the demographics and they see how many people have degrees. So if it's a community that has a high educational component, if you will, with people with degrees, then they'll say, okay, let's put our corporate office over there. Because those people have the ingenuity and the skills and the education to do the corporate jobs, right? Now we know the corporate jobs, they tend to pay a little bit more money. But if it's more like a working class where they don't have a lot of degrees, then they'll say, okay, that's where we'll put the warehouse, because you'll need a lot of education to work in a warehouse, to assemble or whatever you're going to do. We could teach them that. So that's why a lot of times in poor neighborhoods, communities, you see warehouses opposed to the corporate offices to the warehouse, if that makes any sense. But yeah, they have shipped a lot of those jobs overseas, and AI is a real thing. It's, a lot of people are like, well, we got some time for that. Well, I don't know if you've been into any restaurants or even the grocery stores. I mean, when is the last time you actually had somebody check your groceries out for you? Most of us are probably now going through the self-checkout. And I know some people are like, well, I'm not going through the self-checkout because we're costing somebody a job. It's like, well, okay, well, then you wait in that line for a half an hour to have somebody, ring you out. So it's like time is money. So I don't know. Let's see here. Roost Tracker says spineless ochre is none to less slime. Okay, got it. Yeah, because that's kind of why I don't really be liking to eat ochre like that, because it's slimy. DJ says, I got my degree in criminology and forensic technology 10 years ago, and I still can't get a job. Lucky for me, I don't have a student loan because I am a disabled military veteran. The VA paid for it. Yeah. And that's what I know. When I understand, the government went under Trump actually paid off a lot of veterans student loans. So that was a good thing. But yeah, a lot of times in those type of fields, it's like who you know, right? And there's a lot of nepotism there, and just who you know. So, and that's true for a lot of these, what they say, good jobs. You got to kind of know somebody to get in there. But when I was a kid, I wanted to go into forensic science until I found out that there was a lot of math involved. I was like, okay, next. Michael says, Demetra, why do you think progressives and liberals are opposed to cash payment reparations for ADOS in addition to supporting universal policies? Well, what liberals and progressives, liberals being the Democrats, you give us that money, the money that's owed to us, or even some of it, then we are less dependent on them. See, the Democrats, they benefit from us being dependent, the party of the people, or they, do stuff for black people, or they have these programs and, socialism, for lack of better words. So if they set us free by giving us money, because a lot of us will be set free, we'll go off and do our own things. We might leave the country or whatever it is. They don't want us to do that. They want us to believe that they are our saviors. Like, oh, we need Democrats because if we don't have them, then, we'll die. Or I guess, I don't know. But I think that's mostly why. And Alan says $500 per credit. Oh, okay, $500 per credit hour for university schooling. Yeah, that. See, so you if you want to go to school, you either have to have some money, so some rich parents or something, or you're gonna take out some student loans. And a lot of jobs you just cannot get if you want to, make good money, unless you just start your own business, which a lot of people are doing as well. You're gonna have to take out some student loans. So I'm never one to shame people for taking out student loans. And as I said too, during the housing crash in 2008, a lot of people got those loans and they took care of their family because, as I said, their jobs went away, they got laid off, whatever it was, and they got those student loans. Yeah, they paid for their education, but they also put food on the table. So that's why I said we need to have a full conversation about student loans, opposed to saying, oh, people just got the money and they tricked it off, or they got the degrees they didn't need. Yeah, some people probably like, okay, this degree sounds all right, but I'm really getting this money because I don't have no money coming in, and this, couple of $1,000 or whatever is going to help me pay the mortgage or whatever it is, to put some food on the table. So I think it comes for us to really educate ourselves, opposed to casting judgment on people. Because trust me, don't nobody want a whole bunch of student loans. A lot of people didn't get the student loans that didn't need them, or deemed them to be necessary for something else. So, yeah, $500 per credit is outrageous. King of Sorrow says, had people thinking they would be able to survive doing Uber and DoorDash gig jobs after the pandemic. Well, a lot of people still are doing that, but it was the Democrats that was trying to make the workers W-2 workers, right? But especially in California, they were trying to do it, but they pushed back because gig workers, they work when they want, right? I don't want to be forced to work a time schedule and just, I'm free enterprise here, right? I want to get in the car when I want to, drive a couple hours, because the gig jobs, a lot of them, they'll cash you out that day. So it's like I'm working for myself. I don't need y'all to try to. Otherwise, I just go to McDonald's or something, whatever, and be tied to a job. But there's a lot of people who still do well on in the gig economy, and that's kind of what's hurting, I guess, this job market per se. Where they keep saying we got all these jobs, because a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to go sit at a desk. I'm not going to stand behind somebody's cash register. Because I'm not going to make as much money as I do as a gig worker. Yeah, I might have to find out a way to take care of my own health insurance and stuff like that. But I own my own time, and I decide for the most part how much money I want to make. So, and Michael says the trades need to be updated for today's economy. Yeah, I can see that. Third Coach says I feel a lot better and not sluggish in the morning when I wake up. Same here. You have a lot more energy. Sometimes I wake up at like I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning. I wake up at 3 or 4 and I'm like, gosh, I'm not tired. But I don't want to get out of bed, but I'm like, I just can't go back to sleep. So I might read or do something like that. And then I'll just be up until I go to bed at about 9 o'clock or earlier, depending. But yeah, you do feel a lot better. You don't feel sluggish because your body's got to digest all of that. So you do feel a lot better. I know I do. And Roots Tracker, he says, I'm growing motherland okra. They're thick. Red okra is pretty good. Just got heirloom Jing orange okra. I have many varieties like watermelon. Wow, I've never even heard of all those. But you know what I really like is the heirloom tomatoes. They're hard to find in the regular grocery stores. I've seen them at a few stores here, like the big time HEB, not the regular HEB, but the one that's kind of like a Whole Foods. They have them there. Oh, I love those. You can cut them real thick and make a sandwich or something with them. Oh, they are so good. So I might try to go get me some tomorrow. And 4748, how you doing, by the way? It says child support, student loans, medical bills, and taxes are a trip on the wallet. Yeah, all of that, and that don't even count for you your light bill, your gas bill, gas for the car, maintenance for the car, and your food. That's outside of that. So it's a lot for people to have to endure. Thunder, you say also, just so you know, if you're growing 3 to 4 okra plants, you'll be harvesting every okra every other day. Wow, if not every day. I had to start giving some to my neighbors. It produces just that much. That's good to know. And kind of like in the summertime too, because I thought about like growing some stuff, but the weather was so bad. It was so hot, but it's cooling off now. So I think I'm going to start doing that, or at least trying to grow some in the house. I don't like really going outside here in Texas because of snakes and stuff. My daughter saw a snake at the neighbor's house, and the cat was getting with it the other day, and I was like, I just don't like snakes, so that's kind of why I don't go outside as much. Michael says, Demetra, there should be both tuition debt-free public higher education and advanced vocational training, just like in Asia, Europe, Australia, South Africa, etc. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. MC Facty saying, it's just benign neglect by the Democrats. He says, as long as they can get free votes, they'll keep doing it. Yeah, they will. And that's kind of why we have to do for self. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Marcus Garvey, and so many other people have told us, hey, we need to start doing for self. We're dependent on people to feed us, and eventually they're going to stop feeding us, like we're starting to see with the migrants. They're taking care of them and just totally neglecting Black people. In fact, they're putting them in Black neighborhoods and saying, yeah, well, we know we said we was going to do stuff for y'all, but now we need that money to do for the migrants. So we need to start really digging into doing for self. Black man said, what happened to Jordan? You crazy. I just got talk about the dry cleaners. Right. I remember back in the day, there was quite a few Black dry cleaners, but I don't know where are they at now? They're no more. I actually had a family member that had a dry cleaners in Los Angeles for years. And then, of course, they get retired. And I guess the kids didn't want to do it anymore, so they sold it. But, yeah, what happened to George Jefferson? Marcella says, I have been cooking ever since you started. Laugh out loud. I'm enjoying the show. Well, what are you making, by the way? I'm interested. I think maybe you told me, but tell me again. What are you making? I am totally interested. And let's see here. Connell, how you doing? He says it's going to get worse everywhere in so many phases. We need every defense that's against us by any means necessary. Yeah, it's going to get worse. We're gonna have to save ourselves. We're gonna have to. Damien says, hey, Black First family, take a look at fennel seeds. I love the taste of fennel. You can actually too buy the whole fennel, like the plant or the vegetable, I guess. I used to juice them because fennel is really good for you, but it just takes whatever you're cooking, depending on what it is. And fennel ain't good in everything, but it just takes it to the next level, adds something extra to it. It's a fabulous, I guess, kind of like a seasoning in some cases. Michael says, Demetra, what do you say to Jason Call Mazungu, who is running on cash payment reparations for ADOS, Medicare for all tuition, debt-free public higher education and vocational training, etc.? I don't know anything about him at all, so he is news to me. Aha! Why you looking like that?
I just got out the tow truck.
I hope it was all good.
No, it's all good. Now I'm in the Uber.
Are you on your way home?
Yeah, no. One of my cars broke down, so I had to do the prostitute thumb out. But I'm on the way home.
Oh, I don't know, but you in an Uber, okay? So DJ said, I don't mess with snakes either, Demetra. They out here in full force in Virginia. Yeah, I can't do the snakes. No. I can't do it. Don't want to do it. I'm going to put you on mute until you have something to say. And we have something to say, just put your hand up.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Oops. There you go. And Marcella says 2 types of chicken. I went in the oven, or I think one in the oven, one on the stove. I'm sorry, one in the oven and one on top of the oven. And they're both going to be barbecue boneless thighs. Ooh, and I made a beautiful salad with mushrooms, my special mix, kale, lettuce, and cucumbers. That sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. I had some homemade chili cheese fries, and I used my mandolin, so they were kind of like, what do you call them? They look more like au gratin potatoes. Don't really eat potatoes much, but I was like, okay, I need to hurry to do something fast. Some vegan chili, if you will, and all plant based stuff on top of it. That's what I had, but now I'm hungry again because of you. Thank you. um, and Kiki says they're taking care of migrants because they believe that they're going to be their new base. Democrats know that many Black people are disappointed with them. They're trying to secure a new base. They will find out that sadly, no other racial demographic will be as loyal as Black people. Yeah, they're already saying the migrants like we're conservative. We like Trump. We like what the Republicans are talking about. So it's really already kind of backfiring for them. Okay, so I think you're talking to Thunder, and everybody saying hello to Walter. Fennel is amazing. I love it. And MC Factor says Jason Call Green Party is running for election to the U.S. House to represent Washington's 2nd Congressional District. He declared candidacy for the primary scheduled on August 6, 2024. Okay, so he's not running for president, but he's running for a House. Okay, so maybe I have to look into him. It's the first I've heard of him that I know of. Thunder says, most beautiful. He says, I meant also looking at growing some passion fruit. It grows very well here in Houston and are delicious and great for your blood pressure, low maintenance, and high producing. Okay, passion fruit. And Marcella says, girl, I even make my own homemade barbecue sauce. See, now you doing too much. Now you showing out. Baby raised for you, huh? So Walter, what's on your mind? How soon before you get to the house?
Oh, I'm almost there. No, I was just I was listening earlier. I was just kind of seeing what was going on. So you guys talking about fennel. I got a bunch of that at home, contemplating taking it.
Yeah, it's good to juice too. That's what I was doing. I was juicing it and adding it. What was I adding with it? Some kale, green apple, and I think that was it. Maybe celery. I don't do too much like celery in my juices because it's salty. But yeah, fennel's good. This fennel juice is the bomb.
Yeah, I'm gonna try some of it. I have it in the oil form.
Yeah, you should try juicing it. It's really tasty. It's kind of got a little sweet. Marcus, show him your shirt.
Oh, what's it say?
I'm not Black because
Wait. Oh, there it is. You gave me this shirt, didn't you?
I did. I'm not Black because I didn't vote for Joe Biden. Yeah.
What's funny, when I wear this shirt, I have a lot of people like giving me high fives, and a lot of people I wouldn't even expect. I spent the day around mostly Hispanics, and they were like, "Oh, I love the shirt." I had these 2 ladies give me a hug. I was like, "What in the world?" These 2 like old Hispanic ladies.
I actually came up with that shirt. And Walter has a t-shirt thing. I'm like, well, shoot, print off some t-shirts or whatever. But when I wore the t-shirt, I actually had this white lady come up to me. She says, "What does your shirt say?" And so she read it and she goes, "Give me a high five. Right on. I voted for him, but I'll never do it again." And this was like, when he first, like a little bit after he got elected, and she's like, "I'll never do it again." So it is a very good conversation piece, the shirt.
Yeah, y'all better hope y'all better hope y'all don't get him again. You think the evictions are bad right now. Man, wait. If they get Trump out of the way, it's gonna be a wrap. y'all gonna have Kamala Harris as president because Joe he gonna be dead in a minute.
Nah, I don't think Joe Biden will get back in. I just believe people are just completely tired. I mean, every which way you look, the American people are they're getting it right due to his administration, and he doesn't care. He's just like, y'all figure it out. I need y'all to get back to work. It's time to get back to work. It's like, ain't nobody going to Taco Bell, Joe. I don't know how many times we got to keep telling you that. You know.
Well,
Uh,
it may be for a lot of people. Taco Bell's gonna be the move. There's gonna be a lot of people at Taco Bell and Chick-fil-A.
Well, especially there in California, come April of next year, they're going to be getting $20 an hour. Fast food workers. Not that's not for everybody, but fast food workers. Gavin Newsom signed it into law that in 2024 April, that fast food workers will now be making $20 an hour, which will bring them about $42,000 a year.
I had a one of the girl that's working for me at my candle company. I think it was her. She was saying she's thinking about leaving her job at a facility. She makes $18. She's talking about going to get a fast food job. They're making more money. She
Yeah.
went to school for it. So yeah, people are in and out making more than people drawing blood. That's crazy.
Yeah, people donating blood too, or plasma. They in there donating plasma. I tried to do it when I was in California once because everybody was doing it. I was like, well, let me see what it's like. And I hate needles. I'm scared of needles. And y'all know that plasma needle is pretty thick. I mean, it's bigger than a regular needle. So okay, I kind of psyched myself up to do it. I go do it, and it hurt, but it wasn't bad. You got to squeeze the ball or whatever, so it'll pump out the plasma. All right, cool. The first time was good. I was like, all right, I might do it again. So went the second time. They hooked me up and everything. And I'm just sitting in the chair, the machine is doing this thing. And then I felt my head buzzing and everything just started to spin. I was like, okay, this can't be good. So I raised my hand and the nurses or whatever they are, they were talking. They were chit-chatting and talking toward to each other. And then that last thing I remember is my hand just fell and I passed out. And then when I woke up, the doctor was there and the nurses, whoever they are, they were trying to wake me up. They were, wake up. Are you okay? You're okay. I was out of it. So I guess the blood had drained too fast from me. So they disconnected me. It was like, yeah, you can't come back no more. And I was like, I'm not coming back no more. Y'all trying to kill me? But I passed out completely. And they was like, yeah, it took us a minute to bring you to. I'm like, well, is this rare? Like, what are we doing here? So yeah, I was scared straight. I was like, no, I don't need to do that no more.
Yeah, so it's gonna get pretty interesting if you it's yeah, with this AI and everything that's going on, it's getting worse and worse. I see it on the street. Oh, I mean, I see it. A lot of people are freaking out. So, and even now, some of the even reports are coming out about the real estate market slowing down. Everybody's starting to drop their prices. It's about to get real interesting. And then we have two wars getting ready to be three, assuming China and Taiwan get into it. So this is gonna be an interesting year coming up. It's gonna be apocalyptic. It could be. So you have to gather your assets, save. But I mean, it's good to know where your stuff is. You might need to cash some of it out.
Right. Michael, you say, Demetria, you and your daughter are very talented in cooking and baking. Have you and your daughter thought about starting a restaurant business? Nah, because I know the undertaking that goes into a restaurant. So I never really wanted to be involved to that degree with anything. Employees, inventory, and just the health department. There's a lot that goes into it. But I will tell you this. A lot of people are going to go back to cooking stuff at home and selling it. Like I thought about selling some cakes, whatever the case is. I don't know very many people out here, but that's what people used to do. They used to get some food together, sell some plates to the neighbors or whatever. And that's how they made some money. Now, a food truck is just a mini restaurant, right? And a lot of times a food truck, I mean, if you're doing really well, you got to hire people. So it's just a lot. I wouldn't be interested in a restaurant, but you're going to start to see people go back old fashioned selling plates,
Yeah, restaurants are discretionary. When times get tough, people cut back on those.
Oh yeah. Michael said Joe Biden is so old and damn and drunk that he can't remember what he did in office. Well, I think because a lot of it is organic. He's getting older, and um, well, we unfortunately are going to see them just die on the seat. They're just too prideful. I don't know, greedy, whatever it is, to just say, you know what, I'm out of here. Yeah, Roost Tracker. I passed out. Like it took them a minute they said to bring me to. I was trying to get their attention because I was like, something don't feel right here. And I passed all the way out. I was like, okay. So I don't do it anymore. I don't know if they had the thing on too fast or maybe it was just me because I already have I have what they call an athlete's heartbeat. So on my resting heart rate on average is probably about 50 beats per minute. So that might have had something to do with it too. I have every time I go to the doctor, or especially if it's a new doctor, like, do you ordinarily have a very low heart rate? I'm saying, yeah, it's been that way my whole life. So they call it an athlete's heartbeat. So that could have something to do with it. And so Thunny says, what do you think about the flower? Are you talking to me or talking about somebody? So you talking about the flower? That flower? That was you? I don't think you can do that in Texas, can you? I know in California, I don't know if you could grow it if that's the flower you talking about, but you probably ain't talking about that. And I don't do it, by the way. So, and Arthur, if I didn't already, how you doing? Yeah, a food truck is that's an undertaking as well. Facts Not Feeling says Israel will drag the U.S. into war with Iran, and we are not prepared to fight Iran. Most definitely not prepared to do that at all. Roost Tracker, you say, I passed out giving blood. I just stopped altogether. I'm AB plus. I'm B positive. That's my blood type. Yeah, I was doing plasma. Wasn't for me. I was like, yeah, y'all don't ever have to worry about me coming back. I tried to help somebody, but no, I'm good. Miss Sweet Talk says rent mortgage is too high. Rooming houses, storage facilities, and motels are becoming the new way of living. Yeah, those, what do you call those? Extended stays. A lot of people are staying in there where you rent it by the week or the month or whatever it is. And some of those situations are horrible. They're roach infested and, all those type of things. But yeah, people are doing that. But it would be nice if people were more family oriented. Like I wouldn't have my family member sleeping in a hotel in the car, in the street, nowhere. I just wouldn't have them doing it. Like as long as there's a floor, a couch, or something, you can stay with me. But some people aren't built that way. I see a mosquito running around here. It's like we still got mosquitoes. Y'all see, I told y'all yesterday, mosquito jumped on my big old forehead and bit me here and here. I'm like, ain't that crazy? All over my legs. So, yeah. And Michael says Joe Biden loves. There it is. Get your ass out of here. It's trying to land on me again. Says Joe Biden loves Eva Longoria more than he loves his wife. Thunder said, DK, if you start selling plates or bean pies, I know you'll have some customers for sure. Yeah, I want to learn how to make bean pies. Ooh, bean pies are the bomb. But yeah, I'm gonna start doing it. I'm gonna see how it goes. I ain't gonna sit up and be eating no whole bunch of cakes and stuff, but I want to try doing it. Like I said, I love doing peach cobblers. I learned how to do it from my grandmother. So, and I could just do it from scratch without even having to look at a recipe or any of that stuff. It's really easy to do. And my older nephew, he loves peach cobblers. When I was back home, I make him one for his birthday. And they're so easy to make. I make them all the time. He'd tear that thing up. You say the passion fruit flower. Google and tell me what you think. Okay, God, I thought you were talking about the flower. Let me remove you here.
That's better.
Much better.
This is not a big gulp. There was something else in here.
Denise, how are you doing today? Blessings to you as well. Marcella says that mosquito just like sweet meat. I mean, my God, it's like how many times you gonna bite me? I don't even be eating sugar like that at all no more. So I know you was mad. I know it was kind of on the sour side, but and they so small, like you don't even feel them biting you until you know that what is it? The histamine starts swelling up in your skin, and then you lump up. But it's like not you biting me on my doggone forehead. The audacity. Hey, Jay the Informant, how you doing this evening in Sagittarius Goddess? I hope you are doing well. It says you still haven't tasted a bean pie. Let me tell you something. When you taste the bean pie, you're going to be mad that you hadn't had one sooner. They are just that good. Matter of fact, if I see a bean pie somewhere around here, I'm going to eat one any doggone way, even though I'm plant-based.
They sound horrible, but they're actually really good.
Oh, yeah. They are. My oldest nephew, he greedy. He'll tear a whole bean pie up in one sitting. He will. And when he goes to visit my dad gets them for him, and he tears those bean pies up. And Roost Tracker, he say my dad was B positive. So I guess they're saying that's rare blood or something. I don't know, but that's what I am as well, B positive. And Sister Shirley, how you doing? It says mosquito repellent is Avon Skin So Soft. Yeah, that's the old school remedy right there. I need to get some of that because those mugs, boy, I tell you, because we didn't have any hardly mosquitoes in the summer, but now I guess maybe because it's cooling off and maybe raining, I don't know. But yeah, they run around here acting crazy. And Denise says it's called Cottage Law. Great. Okay. And Roost Tracker says, love me some bean pies. It's been a minute. Yeah, it's been a minute for me too. But like I said, if I see one, I'm snatching one up. I might try to go to the mosque this weekend. I know they're doing the I think it's the 28th anniversary of the Million Man March. They're gonna have them at different mosques. And it's a Sunday. And then Saturday, I believe Farrakhan is addressing something somewhere. So if I go over there, maybe they'll have some. I'm gonna find me one though. The Sagittarius goddess, she says, I will be trying one when I get the chance. I'm telling you, you're gonna be like, man, I'm so mad that I didn't. Yeah, that's what I got on my desk right now. Because I was sitting alcohol, I was sitting here early in the morning yesterday. I was just getting bit up. I was like, what the? So I just got it, just kind of, put all over myself, hoping that would be a repellent. And I didn't know that it would be, but I guess so. Let me open it so and know that I mean business. If it try to get near me, it's probably on me now, bite me, and I don't even know it. Anybody say there are YouTube videos on how to make bean pies. Oh yeah. Yeah, I might try to make one. Why not, right? And Thunder says, I'll be honest, I can't blame the mosquito. At least we know it has good taste. Yeah, but it's leaving these little bumps on me. It bit me on my hand. And I'm like, I'm sitting at my desk typing, like, how didn't I see the mosquito on my hand? It like bit me right here. Then one bit me the other day on this finger. It's like, come on, man. Y'all tripping. Black man says, but there will be at least fast food people and more automation. You walk into Mickey D's and you do the screen, then pick up your order, and you use the app for both Starbucks and these fast food places. I haven't been in a McDonald's in a long time, but I've heard about the automation that's in there. You have to like order your own food, which is crazy. It's like back in the day, you can never fathom. I used to work at McDonald's when I was a teenager, and I could never ever where it never in a million years think that it would get to that point because they needed people to do everything in there. Sister Shirley says rubbing alcohol in a spray bottle for all insects, including roaches. For real? I don't have no roaches. They do. I do outside have those. Y'all told me they was palmetto bugs. I'm like, nah, that's a roach. That's a glorified way for calling the roach. But I sprayed the all the outside of my house, and I haven't seen any since. So I just got some spray from Home Depot or something, and I ain't seen not one. So hopefully that continues to work. But alcohol is good to know. Roost Tracker says NOI sells them on the street. Yep, that's how they make some of their money. Those papers and bean pies. And you also say B is rarest, so you are close. Or B minus is rare. Okay, yeah. So Walter.
No, I'm cool. I'm just getting my thoughts together. I was thinking about what you were saying. The topic, the what is it? The evictions. You said in Houston they're getting pretty bad.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're getting pretty bad, and I mean they're getting bad everywhere. They're getting bad everywhere. I mean, people, the wages aren't keeping up with the rent increases. In this particular situation, it sounds like it was some mismanagement of funds. Sounds like it was like a HUD situation as well. They were getting the management was getting the funds and they weren't divvying them out, if you will. Yeah, MC Fact. Yeah, people still eat McDonald's even with all the information we have as to McDonald's being super harmful. Yeah, people are still eating it.
Yeah, well, one thing, it's funny. I told a friend of mine, a couple of people, because I've been going. So I started this consulting service. I don't advertise it. It's just on some like Will Smith from Hit stuff. So I'm charging $1,000 a day to spend like 4 or 5 hours with me, and I go through your whole life, financially, mental toughness, health, everything. And so I sat with somebody and I said, take all the money you spend. On one side, put the shit you need, and on the other side, put the discretionary. And what I find is most people, the stuff on their need column should be on the discretionary column. Like all you need is a place to live. Transportation is even questionable depending on what you do. Like you can Uber. Do you need to have a $600 car payment? Are you really going anywhere? Are you working from home? And when you do leave, are you just going out to waste money at a bar somewhere? So look at the stuff you need. Like you need utilities. Obviously, that's something that's important. So look at the thing, and then the things that you don't need. Like you mentioned, people um, eating out. Like it's easy to spend 20, 30, 40, $50 in a day eating out.
Easy, yeah.
Another thing, and I was talking to my son Evan, and me and him both eat once a day. And I was thinking, because I eat once a day, that's 2 meals a day that I don't have to spend money on. So if I can eat once a day versus someone that eats 3 a day, and we're both still living, I'm probably healthier just because my stomach's not always working. Wouldn't it make sense to cut back on food and the money that you would save, plus your stomach's not working? I mean, there's a lot you can do. So what I'm telling people is put the stuff that you don't need to, the money you don't need to spend, put in a column, right? Like I had my girl wanted to go to dinner, and I told you the story already. I was like, no, we're gonna make dinner. I had her Zell me, straight up, Zell me the money. I took my advice to tell women, but dude's taking you out to dinner, say, you know what? I'll make dinner, assuming you know this dude, and give me the money. If your dude can't move like that, or if your girl can't move like that, then you need to find somebody else. Because at this time it's time to play. You need to stack the money. One of my friends, she likes to go to a bar and drink. I said, you know what? Come to my house. I got everything. I got every liquor under the cap, and I don't even drink that crap. Give me $20, and you can sit here and drink all you want. I know I can buy a big old bottle for $20, so I know I'm making money. Every time I'm like, you want some lamb? You know what I'm saying?
You know what, Walter, too? Now that you mention that, I don't think people understand. Maybe they do, but if they like really sit down and count the cost of dating, that adds up. Like to be in a relationship, right? You're gonna spend some money on her, she might spend some money on you. I mean, like that adds up, and like I said, going out to eat or ordering in and all that other stuff, it really does add up. And like you said, when you have people sparse out with their needs and wants, a lot of that stuff is actually wants. It's like you don't need to eat out every day. I remember back in the day, and I was talking to my daughter about this. I was like, people, when they ate out, it was like maybe on the weekend, mom or whoever didn't want to cook or, whatever. And we planned to go out. It wasn't every day. Like I said, Walter, some people spend 40, $50 a day because they're going to maybe go by Starbucks in the morning. Maybe they're going to do McDonald's for lunch, and then they're going to stop, get something to eat for the family out. So that money adds up. But I think a lot of people really don't understand what it costs to actually be in a relationship. But like you said, with your girlfriend, you're making her cognizant of, hey, it costs money. You want to be sitting up eating, and that's fine every once in a while. But sitting out eating, eating and spending money, hors d'oeuvres, drinks, and the main course, and all that other stuff, it adds up. But come to the house. We'll make something happen.
you need to get to that point. It's wartime with your finances. Like dating sucks, man. I tell you, financially, I couldn't do it, man. It's too. You get to the point where for now, every dollar that you spend and you don't save is the longer you have to work. You know what I'm saying? You sitting out, you spending all this money. And I know because I've done it. And I'm just like, damn, that's a waste of time. I told my girl, and I'm calling her that. I'm using that term loosely at the moment, but I don't have a better term for it right now. And I'm like, if me and you aren't making money, if our every other word isn't about money, like she came over Sunday night and she stayed Saturday night, so she was here Sunday. And what we did really is we spent, because she's been talking about opening electric charging stations and putting them everywhere for businesses. And we did the research 2 hours and was like, oh no, California, you can't put them up because it's too much of a damn red tape and regulation. And everybody's selling their electric charging stations. You can buy 4 for $1,200. I'm like, but the point I'm making is we spent Sunday night going over charging stations. Now we're buying a laundromat together. I just started dating this chick 6 months ago, and we're buying a laundromat together. She's investing, in my business. We're doing shit together. I'm helping her set up a studio in her house, so we could do some shit. I'm like, I don't want to date. If we're not making money, I got 3 years to retire and we move to Spain or, move back and forth. If you're not part of that, then kick rocks, because booty is everywhere. And that's where I'm at with it. You know what I'm saying? My every other conversation with her is, are we getting this money? I don't care about the rest of this shit. If you don't like it, kick rocks. Let's get this money. Let's save. And that's it. All the rest of the other stuff being cute, blah, blah, blah. Man, you're one slip and fall, a stroke away from having your kids have to wipe your ass.
Yeah. And like you said, playtime is over, especially for our age. I'm the same way. I mean, I'm single. And yeah, sometimes it gets lonely. But it's like, I know I have to be in the right relationship next time. You know what I mean? We have to, now I won't say be all about business because, you do want to be romantic and stuff. But as my dad always say, no romance without the finance. You with somebody who is not doing well, not even well off, but just aren't able to sustain themselves. That makes things even harder. So yeah, we should be having those conversations in addition to, being booed up and all that other stuff. That's cute too. But I agree with you. We're not getting down the brass tacks, seeing where we want to go if we're on the same page. We're just wasting time with each other. We're not we're just hanging out, right? And for me, it's like, yeah, hanging out is cute when you're 20, maybe 30, but when you're 40 or 50 and older, it's like, unless you, retirement age, okay, now we really got what we need so we can just be booed up. But when you're a certain age demographic, I think you should be with somebody that's willing to help you get to the money, how to keep the money or something. So let's see here. And Antonio, how you doing, by the way? And Roost Tracker said there's a police chase in Los Angeles. Los Angeles always be getting it crunk with the police chases. It's kind of crazy. Facts Not Feelings just says, Walter, I have never been to Spain, but I don't think Spain will be Spain in a couple of years when Europe is declining. You may be on to something. I've never been to Spain. I never thought I wanted to go to Spain. Never even thought about it. Denise, you say everything I need is here at home. Buy what you need to survive. What's about to go down? Yeah, but unfortunately, though, there's a lot of people out there playing around. They don't think that there's going to be them. They think they have time. Not trying to save no money or any of that kind of stuff. Just really just kind of hanging out. So, unfortunately, the people who are kind of hanging out, not trying to do anything, then they'll become a burden to the rest of us. Because you'll start to hear, hey, I ain't got it like that. Can you help me? And it's like, well, I'm crunch and go all the time. I'm getting after it. What have you been doing? Y'all know we're going to start having those conversations with people. Can I borrow? Can I hold? Can you help me? And I'm not saying that's true for everybody. They weren't doing what they needed to do. Sometimes people fall on hard times, but there'll be some people who wanted to get to the party and have a good time and, be booed up, but they weren't trying to figure out how to get to the money. So it's definitely about to go down. And Roots Tracker, you say laundromat and car washers bring in income. Yeah, people need their car wash and clothes washed. Everybody ain't got a laundromat at home. Um, that's kind of why I couldn't. I didn't want to live in an apartment. I know you can have a wash machine in some apartments, but I'm just not one to like to go to the laundromat. But I will if I have to. Like sometimes you have giant comforters and things like that. You might have to go to the laundromat, but people do still need wash to wash their clothes and stuff. MC Factor says everything was cool. Then here comes Walter with the profanity. Yeah, Walter, your mouth was a little bit on the salty side.
What'd you say?
I said your mouth was a little bit on the salty side.
My mouth? What's
Yeah,
that?
you were saying you was cussing.
Oh, was I?
Yes. Ruth Tracker says if you go to Spain, go to Morocco and Portugal. Haven't you been there?
I've been to Spain, not Portugal. Tracy, give me 1 second.
You go ahead and just put us on mute. Do what you
Yeah, no,
gotta
I've been to Spain and France, but not Portugal. I'll be right back.
do. We're gonna get out of here in just a little bit. Let's see here. And Antonio, you says time will run out. Oh yeah, if not already, it's already there. And Arthur, you say quit smoking cigarettes by putting the money in a jar every time. I would have bought cigarettes. Man, what are cigarettes costing now? A carton like is it like $10, $11? And then what about people who like to smoke a little tweed? That I don't smoke weed, never have, never will, or cigarettes. But from what I understand, having a weed habit ain't cheap. From what I understand, I know people who do it, and they spend a lot of money on that habit. And back in the day, when people called it grass, right? It was truly recreational. People would just, I don't know, however you do it. Every once in a while it's recreational, but some people, like they say, wake and bake. They wake up and they smoke it. They smoke it throughout the day. They smoking at night, and it's like that's gotta cost you some money. I mean, unless you just have it like that. But I've always been one to believe that, especially doing stuff like marijuana, and I'm not knocking anybody who does it. That's your thing. It does tend to rob you of ambition. It just does. I would imagine. But then I don't smoke it, so I'm probably speaking over my head. Sister Shirley says dating needs to be properly defined because most people are simply whoring around. Yep, because many are not mature enough to ask and respond to real and serious questions. Now they don't. You get to asking them some real life stuff. I don't know. I ain't thought about it that far. I'm just in the bed with you. It's like how you get in the bed with somebody you ain't even having those type of conversations with them. You know what I mean? That's some of the first stuff you should be talking about. Hey, what's your goals? What you been up to? What you trying to do? Something, But you're right. People just out there kikiing and ha-ha and playing, and jumping in bed. Yes, indeed, MC Factor. Michael says start investing small early on as your income grows rapidly. Then it is time to scale your investment. Yep. That's what Warren Buffett did. He's been investing since he was a child. He said he just learned how to do it, and the rest is history, right? And Marcelo says I quit smoking over 31 years ago. Yeah, smoking it's Denise, like I said, it's $1 billion business, and people are just addicted. They just smoke. I know people who are just like, I used to work at Frito-Lay, and we go on break, and be on a smoke break. And before the cigarette is even smoked good, they got another one. And they light another one. It's like, guys, is that serious? Ruth Tracker says, I want to teach our people how to grow food, even in circumstances that are not best. Yeah, and we need that. We definitely need that. Antonio says a carton of cigarettes can cost about $70 for some cigarettes. Man, I quit a long time ago. $70, or I'd smoke a little bit, like an hour later, right? Go a couple of puffs, and then come back to it. I'm a frugal cigarette smoker. MC Fact says, laugh out loud, $10 for a carton of cigarettes. Try 15 to 20 for a pack of cigarettes. Hell to the no. I ain't finna pay for something that's gonna tear my lungs out eventually. I wouldn't even, and like I said, I know weed is like that. And it's like people think, oh, weed is harmless. It's like, is it? You think it's natural to be inhaling some smoke into your lungs, and especially with the weed they manufacture now. I wouldn't trust these people to be selling me no weed. It ain't like people used to grow in their backyard back in the day, like they say, homegrown. This stuff is put in labs and they doing this and that and the other to it. Hell to the no. Because I'm like that with my food. I try to be a little bit more selective with my food, so I couldn't imagine just with cigarettes or weed. I couldn't imagine doing it. Arneva says cigarettes are now $10 a pack. I can't even imagine what a carton costs. Yeah, no, I would quit. That my smoking habit addiction would be killed right then and there. And Ruth Tracker says, I'm close to a Moroccan family that has property there. They said, I am welcome anytime. Ain't that nice? And our Black man says, your needs are housing, shelter, utilities, transportation, and food, not fast food or going out and make a budget. Absolutely. Those are your needs, right? And we don't need a bunch of clothes, every time we go out or any of that kind of stuff. It's like, really think about that. And when I said that, I was speaking to myself because I like to buy clothes, but I don't like to spend a lot of money on it. But then it's like, okay, you probably don't need to even buy those. So I'm working on it. And Ruth Tracker says, never have smoked anything. I tried to smoke a cigarette one time when I was like 19. I don't know why I did. I lit it. And when I tell you, I thought I was going to die. I inhaled that smoke in my throat, in my lungs. I literally thought I was going to die because I could not catch my breath. And I was like, why do people do this? And then from that point on, I never did it again. Now, I don't even know if that counted, but it was horrible. Marcella says, I'm afraid for people that date today. You don't know if they're a woman or a man. Damn. Ooh, or a dude with a BBL, huh? You also say, I actually quit smoking because I was in the nation of Islam then. Oh, yeah. They don't want you having none of those vices or any of that kind of stuff. And Michael says, so you're talking to Black man. You also say, Black man, PS utilities are not cable and streaming services. Right. Cable is a lot of money. And then, of course, you have to have internet if you want to be able to work from home or whatever. I don't have cable. I do have some streaming because I like to watch some things. But streaming is actually cheaper than having cable. Just find a couple of good things that you like. I remember Netflix used to be a couple of bucks. What is it now? Like 15 or whatever it is. But there's a lot of things to watch on those things. So if you're going to do it, streaming is probably optimal. But if, as Walter say, you ain't got no money, you shouldn't be sitting down watching too much TV. No way. That should be kind of the last thing on your mind. For me, TV is a luxury. I don't even turn it on unless I'm going to bed. My guilty vice, I don't care what y'all say, Sex in the City. Now, I've obviously seen all the episodes many times, but that's what I go to bed watching, Sex in the City. And I'll be laughing and stuff like I've never watched them before, but I'll watch a couple of episodes and I'll doze off. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's time to turn that off. Also, Netflix is $10.99. It's still not too bad, but a lot more than it was. And of course, they kicked people off that were sharing the passwords. And Ruth Tracker says, we need to learn courtship dating is for colonizers. Please look up the Black Love School. I'm going to write that down because I sure sound like I need to be enrolled. You're absolutely right, though. We do need to learn how to court. People aren't doing that. They're just getting into relationships. And, like, how do you know you love somebody within a couple of, weeks of dating or whatever? I love you. Like, do you even know that person at all? People don't court. They just get into the relationship, so-called, and then wonder why they don't work out. Yeah, $70 is a lot of money. Ruth Tracker, you say, get rid of the cancerous lung habit. Yeah, it's very addicting. A lot of people just have a hard time not doing it. And High Cube says healthcare doesn't have much impact on life expectancy. Yeah, they actually call it sick care. They only just kind of band-aid the situation, because if it was healthcare, they give you the necessary tools that you need to not be sick. Eli, how you doing? Long time no see. He says, yeah, I never really liked cigarettes the first time either. Rather stick to the weed. In my opinion, is healthier. Is it really healthier? I don't know. No judgment. I'm just asking, is it really healthier? That reminds me of 'cause I know I have a degree in public relations, and you kind of learn about statistics a little bit. And back in the day when cigarettes were becoming a thing, right? Back in the day, they would say, "Oh, 9 out of 10 doctors recommend this cigarette for you. This cigarette is better for you." But then when you actually break down what they're saying, they never said the cigarette was healthy. They just said it was better for you. Now it's based off of the opinion of doctors who also smoked. So they would get, surveyed or whatever, and they say, okay, well, I like the cigarette better. It's the cigarette of choice. And then they would say, okay, well, 9 out of 10 doctors said that this cigarette is better for you, but they never ever said that they were healthier for you. So a lot of that is play on words. And again, I don't smoke weed, never have, never will. So like I said, I'm probably talking over my head. I don't want to dissuade anybody from doing it if that's your thing. I know that it does have a lot of medicinal purposes, but a lot of people ain't smoking it for that. And Mike, see how you doing, by the way. And Sister Shirley says,
Are
sure.
people still smoking cigarettes in 2023?
You better believe it. Like a choo-choo train.
Hey man, if you smoke cigarettes, you might as well eat some Big Macs too. While you at it, sip on some hard liquor, some malt liquor, and you can save your family from having to bury you. They can just throw you in the ocean.
Yeah, and Roku is good too. A lot of these smart TVs, they already have stuff built on there. Y'all know Tubi is free. I mean, I guess you could upgrade, but a lot of those streaming services, you can actually. You're not on mute. You can.
Oh, that's my English. I said my word.
What, Roku?
This froggy computer, it's messing with me.
Oh, yeah. So a lot of the smart TVs, you can actually, watch stuff for free. You just need internet connection or whatever. Antonio say Canon. Okay. And Roots Tracker, you say it takes one time to get addicted. Glad you did not, Sister Dimitri. Yeah, I choked it. I think it was the ancestors like, hold my beer. And it was like in my lungs and my throat. I could not breathe. My eyes was running. My nose was running. I was like, why on earth? And clearly I didn't know how to smoke a cigarette. But when I tell you, I was scared straight. I was like, I'm good. Thank you. And Mike C says, exactly. It's the way you eat and live your life. Yeah, stress has a lot to do with it too. And Roots Tracker says, I'm married and we are in the Black Love School. All right. Is it like blackloveschool.com.org? What is I can just put it up in Google and find it because I sure mean to get in there. Okay. Even if I'm a fly on the wall, I'm being there. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I love to learn. Right. No cigarette is better for you, but it was a play on words. And, public relations, that's why I brought it up, is because that's what they do. They fashion these campaigns to make it sound more appealing and more appeasing to people. So people who may not, maybe were thinking about quitting. And, Edward L. Bernays, he's considered one of the more modern day fathers of public relations. And he waged a mean cigarette campaign with Lucky Strikes, the Philip Morris Company, and all of that. And because back in the day when he was around, like the 1800s, 1900s, women could not smoke in public. It was considered to be unladylike. So then they made this campaign, made it all sexy and glamorous. Of course, they came out with the skinnier cigarettes, and they made a campaign saying, ladies, grab control. It's time that you take control, and it's okay for you now to smoke in public. So that's how they got women to smoke in public, because before it was just not ladylike. And his mother, I think it was his mother and his wife, they ended up with cancer or something like that. Or he really learned of the damages of cigarette smoking. His wife and his mother smoked, and he would hide their cigarettes, all kinds of stuff to get them to smoke. And I think one of them ended up dying of like lung cancer, but he never made that public. Even then, he was still making these campaigns for people to buy more cigarettes. So it's a whole hustle. Eli say healthier might be questionable, but THC and CBD in certain quantities have been found to provide certain health benefits. I just take y'all word for it. I'll never do it. Sister Shirley says proper food is healthcare, not consuming anything put in front of you. You are what you eat. Absolutely. Yes, Eli, cigarettes are really gross, like cancer on a stick. That's exactly what they are, or they call them coffin nails. Arneva says weed destroys brain cells. Yeah, but like I said, I will never try to begrudge anybody of their whatever they want to do. Like I said, I know people. Sometimes people do it because they're in pain, or maybe they have cancer. Or they're trying to subdue the pain, but there's a lot of people out there they're just doing it and they're not. And Dr. Wesley Muhammad, of course, of the Nation of Islam, he has a whole series on what they're doing to marijuana now and the effects on, especially Black men and boys. So I'd impress it upon anybody to check that out, Dr. Wesley Muhammad. Yes, Pluto TV is good for streaming. High Q says it's clean water supply and hygiene 50%, food 30%, rest 10%, healthcare 5%, and exercise 5%. That affect human lifespan. Sounds good to me. Yes, Pluto TV. And Patty, how you doing? Says I can't believe I missed the beginning of the live. That's okay. Come back on Sunday because we're about to get out of here. 5 p.m. Central Time. And I know they're having the 28th anniversary Million Man March commemoration or something like that. So hopefully it'll be over by then. But I'll come on here anyway and just finish watching it. It starts at 2 p.m. Central Time. Damon says, I asked folks who smoke cancer sticks, can I take a life insurance policy on them? You can if they let you, but it's going to be a high premium. You can believe that because people who smoke, they pay a higher premium and everything, not just cigarettes, but marijuana, anything you smoke. They ask you that on your questionnaires when you get life insurance and health insurance, and you pay a higher premium for that. And in some cases, you can't even get insurance if you're smoking marijuana, health or life insurance. So that's the kind of things to think about. Mike said, you also buy the streaming apps for the year. Yeah, you can do that too. It's a lot cheaper. And Denise says, rest and eating right. Yep. Buckhorse, how you doing? He says, Walt, all the vets I know smoke cigarettes. Tell that to them. I dare you. Yeah. And that's probably from them being in the military and all of that. It's a nasty habit. It really is. And let's see here. Mike says, the new weed is not your grandfather's weed. Nah, but you can't tell these people nowadays. Back then it was all natural. Now they mixing it with this and hybrid breeding it this way and all that stuff. I venture to say it's probably a lot more chemicals in the weed now than there was when, like you said, your grandfather was growing it himself or smoking it, right? Reefer is what they would call it. Antonia says, Virginia Slims, you come a long way, lady. Exactly. That was it. But yeah, they and that's what that was about, because women had to smoke it in private in the house. They could not. It was like really frowned upon. They were shamed for smoking in public. But Edward L. Bernays, you guys look him up. You guys are going to learn a lot about Edward L. That's his initial in the middle. Bernays. He was not considered a good person for what he did to the American consumer society, if you will. He was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, the world-renowned psychologist. And together they figured out how to appeal to people's emotions to get them to be more consumeristic, if you will. And that's kind of how we got to where we are today. They even made women end up, using the box cake like the Betty Crocker, because back then when they were trying to introduce the box cake Betty Crocker to them, because it's like, all you got to do is just add an egg, or whatever else you got to add to it. Everything is already there. And the women wouldn't do it. They were like, no way. I would never serve my family a box cake, because they took pride in making it themselves. And finally, they convinced them. They're like, you're going to save so much time. Imagine all the time that you would have to yourself, the things you can do for yourself if you just, let Betty Crocker make the cake for you. So that's how they ended up getting women, because that's who did most of the cooking back then, away from making homemade stuff. And then the TV dinners came into place. But the society at first was like, I'm not feeding my family that. But then the campaigns that they waged and they made it like, okay, well, yeah, it does make sense. It's convenient. We'll just pop it in the oven and we can sit in front of TV and we can eat. And so that's kind of how we got to where we are today. Edward L. Bernays, y'all look it up. Y'all gonna be like really blown away. And Sister Shirley says, I don't want a man that smells like a chimney. Me either. Or and no shade to anybody who smokes marijuana, but especially people who really smoke it, it's in your hair, it's in your skin, it's in your nails, it's in your clothes, it's everywhere. And it's like, oh, have you ever smelled somebody who smokes weed and it just hits you in the like at the back of your throat? It's like, oh, like you don't smell that. Yeah, so it's a lot going on there. And then he says, as for apps, anything that I can get free, he says, with what paid the cable company. And Black Man says, banks and car companies have way better features than we do. Oh, yeah, they with all that interest they making too. And Buckhorse says, take life insurance. I'm with it. Yeah, you know, you're going to pay a lot for the premium for people who smoke weed and cigarettes. It's a lot. Like you when you smoke, you have a vice. Then you're going to get it on the front end and you're going to get it on the back end. Because let's say if you need to buy health insurance or life insurance, they're going to ask you that. Smoke cigarettes? Yeah. Or have you ever smoked cigarettes? Yeah. I don't smoke it anymore. When's the last time you smoked it? Or do you smoke marijuana? Yeah. And like I said, a lot of times you can't even get insured because you're a risk. You're a risk because we know cigarettes cause cancer. So you're a risk. Life insurance companies, they make money if you live, not die. Health insurance, you're probably going to pay more as well because you're going to be taking more trips to the doctor than a person who doesn't smoke cigarettes. But a lot of people don't care. And Mikey says the Polvoff's experiment. And if you don't mind refreshing my memory exactly what that is. And Troy says you smell weed on them as soon as they walk in the room. Yeah, it's just like, and you know, I mean, like I said, I want to be judgmental, but cigarette smokers, the teeth, and all of that is just, it's a horrible habit. I used to do hair, and some of the women smoke cigarettes, and they, you know, freshly did their hair, blow dry the curl, and they be outside, and you see a plume of smoke going up into their hair. It's like, you just wasted your time. You know, but thanks for the money. But you know, and some people, they like if the hair is white, the hair ends up turning yellow from the cigarette smoke or whatever they're smoking going up in, you know, to their hair. It turns their hair yellow, tells the nails yellow, the teeth. And if you've ever been to some people's houses that smoke cigarettes, their walls are yellow. So you smoking in the house, if your walls are yellow, what you think your lung? Well, we know what, you know, smokers' lungs look like, but I'm glad to hear that, Buckhorse, that your insurance is good. And Mikey says exactly. She says should it wouldn't be time saving. Oh yeah. You talk about the cake. That's what they told him. It would save time, but was it healthier? We look at back in the day, yeah, maybe the Betty Crocker mix was a little bit healthier. But if you look at it now, they got all these chemicals and all these additives and artificials, this, that, and the other to make a cake. So basically, they got more money out of the consumer, and they made the consumer less healthy because they were at least in control of the products that they put in the cakes. But now they're not. They just add an egg or whatever else, oil, whatever you're going to put into it. And then you just add it to the chemicals and you pop it in the oven, right? So a lot happened with what they did to making people consumers. And Sister Shirley says, anything a colonizer speaks, we went along with and pissed off anyone who stood up and refuted. Yeah, you know, we just went in like, you know, zombies. You know. Oh, okay. So Sigmund Freud, that was one of his experiments. Yeah, but Edward L. Bernays and Sigmund Freud, yeah, they helped do a number on the consumer. They appeal to your emotions. And in fact, it was them. Edward L. Bernays, it was his idea to back in New York in the what do you call it, department stores, to put a model. Now this was like the 1900s, 1920s and stuff. Put a model, fashion model, in the store or whatever in the window, and she'd be modeling or whatever it was, a fur coat, and people would stand around like, oh my God. That was kind of like one of their first ways to advertise. And so people's like, well, I want that, and then of course, fashion magazines. Harper Bazaar is another campaign that he worked on, a big time fashion magazine to get people, to want to buy by the campaigns they put together. MC Fact says, but if you haven't smoked in decades, that shouldn't affect insurance rate, right? It depends. They will still ask you when is the last time you smoked. So if it's been like significant amount of time, it might not. But this is the other thing people don't realize about smoking cigarettes is even if you have not smoked in a couple of years, you still could have ramifications from it. You still can get cancer, even if you haven't smoked. You stop smoking, and I'm saying that is because my mom. She smoked cigarettes and she stopped in 1999. And she ended up with, she had cancer twice. First time was colon, and she beat that. Second time it came back, and then it spread to her lungs. And they said that even though she stopped smoking in 1999, it still probably was one of the reasons why she ended up with lung cancer. So, but it just depends on how long you've stopped smoking in regards to insurance. Like if it was a couple years, yeah, they probably still gonna rate you. And Marcella says, I've had to save this before. You have you ever been past a burger joint and do not smell burgers anymore? I remember when you used to be able to smell burgers coming from like McDonald's. Now you don't. Yeah, it's chemicals. It is chemicals in there. Yeah, you rarely smell food restaurants. It like if it's a mom and pop or something like that, you might, but like the chain restaurants, yeah, you're right. You don't. Even the French fries, right? It's like, and we've seen McDonald's meals left over for years and years and years and years, and they don't rot. So it's like, what are you doing to this food? Michael says advertising leads to heavy consumption. Oh, you better believe it. They did. I'm telling you, Edward L. Bernays, they did a number on the American consumer. They got us to where we are now. We need like I forget the age that they called it, but it just made us feel like we just needed we needed stuff that were actually wants, So people, all the clothes and shoes and cars and just you name it. Because back then people were more frugal with the money they spent. And Buckhorse says, I'm trying to quit. It's a bad habit, Miss K. I know, I know it's just, I don't smoke, but I know people who have, smoked and it was very hard to do. You just got to find your why. You like a good reason. Mm-hmm.
Here's how you quit smoking. I want you to imagine doing this. Excuse me. Pardon me. Oh, hold on. Let me clean it out.
Oh, you talking about that hole in your throat? You stupid as hell.
Man, I smoked like one cigarette when I was a kid. I saw that commercial. I was like, hell to the no. No, hell no.
Yes, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we've all heard about the ramifications of smoking. And I get it. It's addicting, the nicotine and all the other chemicals that they put in it. I even heard, now I don't know how true it is. I heard that even in I know in cigarettes they used to, I don't know if they still do, they use formaldehyde in there as well. So yeah, I mean, it's really something to think about. Denise says Macy 34th Street every week window change, and they've been doing that ever since. And Edward L. Bernays was the godfather of that. MC Fact says, keep in mind, red meat causes cancer. Yep, there's been studies that say that it does, especially like the lunch meats, the cheap meats and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, the cheap meats. You guys are eating Lunchables and salamis and shit from the U.S. If you're going to eat meat, do it grass-fed, pasture-raised. There's certain ways you have to eat meat. You can't just eat the stuff off the taco truck. Especially if you burn your meat. For those of you like your meat well done, you're asking for trouble. I'm just saying. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how we got on talking about smoking, but smoking, I mean, if you're smoking cigars or whatever, even if you're smoking weed, I'm not condoning it, but like, I don't see a tie between cancer and weed smoke. I'm not advocating marijuana smoke. I don't smoke it. Not that I'm willing to admit. The time that I have smoked marijuana, I found myself laying down, unable to move. And you know the crazy thing about marijuana is you see people just smoking it, blowing out the window.
Even
Everybody,
here in Texas, it's like y'all crazy.
people just smoking weed. I don't get it. I don't understand, but that's whatever. You know, we at the end of the day, we're gonna need to keep some of that money for ourselves, for our future. Because what I'm telling you guys, Joe Biden, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. You know, Donald Trump might die, or I don't know. We might end up with Joe and Kamala again, or there's some other good candidates out there. The JFK guy doesn't seem too bad. You know who I really like though? It's the Indian dude.
Ah, hell to the no.
I mean, listen, he's a businessman, and yeah, he's whatever. But it seemed like, I mean, out of all the candidates, like
We was doing all right until you brought up Vivek Ramaswamy.
But all the other candidates have been in office for years. Nothing has
Let me
happened.
tell you something. Let me tell you something about Vivek Ramaswamy.
I mean-
Ramaswamy, he is a wannabe white supremacist. He takes the talking points of white supremacists and he levels them at black people. And as if we ain't this, we ain't that, and all this other stuff. He's a wannabe, And so Vivek Ramaswamy, he's a joke. I wouldn't even consider even letting him come put air in my tires.
Well, again, I haven't followed any of these cats because I don't think any of them are going to be a real competitor against Trump. But if Trump, for some reason, can't run, then I don't know. Who would you pick if you had to pick somebody?
I mean, I think it's still kind of too early. We'll start to see more of it shape up. I think in the beginning of the year, because you got the primaries and stuff like that. I think I'll be able to make a better informed decision. But right now, you got Larry Elders in there. You got Tim Scott. You got Ron DeSantis. You got JFK, RFK Jr.
RFK is not even. He's not even speaking. I mean, he's not even.
He just switched from the Democrats to independent. So now he's running under the independent party. But there's so many people that have thrown their hat in the ring. Gavin Newsom may get in the ring. So it's just, for me, it's too early to even try to wage my bet on anybody.
I don't know.
Yeah, but Vivek Ramaswamy, he's a joke. He gonna jump on the lap of white supremacy and say all the things that they're saying. He does not like black people at all. Talk about we need to get rid of Juneteenth and a Black history. It is like, why are you coming at the black people? Like, there's so many other things that you could talk about, but you just regurgitating the talking points of white supremacy. He black as me and you. So I was like, he gonna get his rude awakening. And Mikey says Jim Crow Joe will be one-term president. Oh, for sure. Y'all can believe that. He not get back in office. He says Baz Salami will not be president at all. He ain't even gonna make it to the primaries. He gonna be up out of there pretty soon too.
Yeah, I don't follow these guys that close. I just heard him speak a couple minutes. So based on what I heard,
yeah, he a joke. Roots Tracker says my husband is a meat eater. We get our meat shipped via private farm. Yeah, that's the way to go. Yeah, but going into the store and the stuff they doing now, and hell, they said even in Walmart, it ain't even meat. They said it's something else. So I don't know. Yeah, Baz Salami is funny. Easy. And how you doing, by the way? He says Vivek is auditioning for a seat on somebody's cabinet. Yeah, but they ain't gonna even give him a cabinet seat either. They entertain him, but he's a joke. He too black to be in the damn White House with any Republican anyway. He think he invited to the party, but he's not. He said Baz Salami should be deported. So anyway, y'all, we're gonna let y'all go. I know we've been over here overtime, but for sure we'll be back here on Sunday for the Demetri K Show. I don't know what we'll talk about, but I'm sure it'll be interesting. But thank y'all for spending so much time with us here today. I love having a conversation with you guys. Rich Tracker, he says, I'm going for the top tier ticket that is closing the borders. We all know who that is, right? Providing Trump can hang in there, because y'all know he got 11 lawsuits that he's battling. I know some of them worked out in his favor in New York, where they threw some of them out, but he's got a long way to go. And also I said that. And Sister Charlotte says Trump needs to sit down all these white supremacists near and foreign. Yeah, but that's all of them, right? On both sides of the aisle.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys a question though. What has Trump ever said about black people that was negative?
Oh,
That's what I don't.
There's a lot. So,
Like like what? I'm not talking about 30, 40, 50 million years ago. And by the way, do you guys realize that Donald Trump, there's a lot of black businesses that he funded back in the days. He even funded Jesse Jackson's campaign. So I hear a lot of people say Trump was racist, but if you watch the epic thing with Judge Joe Brown, he went through a list of people that
Oh
black
yeah,
dudes
no,
gave money to and said, fuck it, you don't even have to pay me back.
yeah,
So like what I hear he was a slumlord. Was he a slumlord, or he
no,
didn't like black people, or is it he didn't
he
want?
wouldn't he wouldn't rent to black people, him and his father or something like that. That was like in the 70s or something like that. I just say this, uh, Trump is definitely the lesser of two evils. I think they've all said some pretty horrible things about black people or whatever the case is. But other thing about Trump, most of the people who are speaking out against Trump now, they were buddies with him. Like I said, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Hillary Clinton, all of them, Joe Biden, they all were homies with Trump. But now he's become a foe because I just believe Trump got off script. Most presidents you can control, but Trump, they could not control. They being whoever y'all want to, whoever this esoteric society is, they could not control Trump. So I think they're all just kind of dogpiling. But anyway, he for me, he would be the lesser of two evils. So anyway,
He can he can close this damn border. I mean, you guys hugging Joe Biden, man. Those if you could see those borders, those migrants coming over those borders by the thousands every day, and they're getting over here, and those are our jobs. And you guys, in reparations is not going to come from the president. It's going to come from the local level, from the states. So ain't nobody for reparations. Joe hasn't even brought it up. Kamala, we got a black woman in the White House. It hasn't even
oh
come
no,
up.
they brought it up. They said, "I'll be damned."
They brought it up, but like if there was a Jew in the White House, you best believe there would be some kind of reparations for Jews.
Well, they've already gotten it. But
Or if
anyway,
there was-
that's a whole different discussion for a whole nother day.
I'm just making a point. They would figure out something. There's an Indian.
They've already happened. It happened under the Obama Biden administration. So they have gotten the Jewish community has gotten some reparations. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna get out of here because y'all know we even started a whole nother topic. And Mike says Trump was Jesse Jackson's campaign manager and was a Democrat. Sure was up until the time he ran for office. He was a Democrat, so that's true. Oh yeah, Joe Biden. I mean, Trump he's definitely racist. They all racist, And Marcella says, have you guys seen that Trump rap video on YouTube? It's funny. I have not seen it. I agree with you, Mike.
Put Omarosa in the White House.
Huh?
Put Omarosa in the White House.
And then he literally had her thrown up out of there too.
Yeah, because she was throwing parties and backyard boogies and shit up in there. That's the shit they don't tell you. By the way, we turned the White House to a backyard boogie spot.
Yeah, she got married there or something like that. So anyway, y'all, we're gonna get out of here. Love and appreciate y'all dearly. See y'all on Sunday. Until then, you guys be safe and have a great rest of your evening. Peace.
For sure.